fantastic. This is GT racing right now.
He's got traction, he's got with the outside, both of them! Maloney!
Oh, he's taken Anderson! Anderson's up top here!
Oh my god! Oh. Big crash! Oh my goodness, half the field's gonna get rolled!
It's very close. These guys are want to make their way through the field very quickly. Oh, there we go! Oh no! That's massive! This is it! This is over! I can't believe this! Oh my god!
God, what?
Are you new to sim racing, or maybe a veteran struggling to reach the next level? Have you ever wondered how the aliens reach impressive lap times that seem impossible to achieve? If so, you're not alone. Most drivers reach a certain level and get stuck. But getting faster on track is easier than you think. VRS coaches are some of the best sim racers in the world and offer one-on-one driver skills training at affordable rates to help new drivers learn the basics and help experienced drivers break through to the next level. Are you ready to get faster and get off the iRacing roller coaster? If so, VRS one-on-one personal training is for you. If you've invested in your equipment, it might be time to invest in yourself. Just go to virtualracingschool.com and sign up for a 30, 60 or 90-minute session with one of our world-class coaches, and you'll learn exactly what to do for faster lap times and more podiums.
For 2022 Season 2, the GT3 class receives a substantial aerodynamic overhaul based on newly acquired data. This new model prominently displays many real-world characteristics such as stall of both the splitter and diffuser at very low ride heights, stall of the rear diffuser at very high ride heights, a much greater emphasis on roll and pitch sensitivity in terms of performance, more realistic use of chassis rake and wing angles to determine total downforce level, and finally, more accurate total downforce and drag numbers. In association with this, various cars throughout the class have received updates to their available spring and anti-roll bar packages. This is to provide more appropriate options for controlling the aerodynamic platform. As such, you will find that softer spring rates have been removed in some cars, while additional stiffer spring rates have been added in their place. Along with this aerodynamic update, the class also sees a further update to the tyre specification. To retain close parity with real-world lap times, overall tyre grip has reduced slightly, and tyre life has also seen a revision. While wear lives will typically still be acceptable for double stinting, overall tyre performance will now degrade more appropriately with temperature effects, thus resulting in reduced tyre performance in the second stint. So what does this mean in driving? Well, the first thing that you will notice is greatly improved high-speed cornering and braking capabilities, with deceleration from high speed being particularly improved. This allows you to really stand on the brake pedal aggressively and make use of the increased downforce before bleeding off pressure as you approach the turn. Medium speed cornering is going to feel somewhat similar to what you've been used to, while low speed cornering will require a more careful application of the throttle and greater emphasis on rotating the car early in the corner. Overall limit feel in these situations will feel improved despite these relatively slower speeds. When first exploring the cars after the update, I would suggest using the iRacing Sprint setup and selecting a track with lots of sweeping corners and elevation changes. It might sound daunting, but tracks such as the Nürburgring Nordschleife and Mount Panorama are where this update really shines, and you'll be able to get a good feel and understanding of the updated aerodynamics and tyre.
Good evening, one. Good evening, all. Welcome back to SimSpeed TV here on a Thursday night. It means we're back for the simrigs.com Oz Proam series, Sim Series, pardon me. Round number 6, season number 6, and it's back for another of the wildcard rounds. So farewell GT3 and hello to a completely different breed of machinery. We'll talk about it in just a second's time, though. My name is Danny Yeaman, and I'm joined once again in the commentary box by David Haynes and Scott Fontaine on production for tonight. David, welcome along to the second of the wildcard rounds. Unfortunately, you weren't able to join us for the season opening wildcard at the several weeks back now, but here we are tonight with the next of the wildcard breed, and this time it's quite a bit different. Ford Mustang FR500S up first for Pass 2, and then the Mustang or choice with the Audi 90 GTO for the main Pro-Am game just after these first two races in Pass 2 tonight.
It's like wear a silly shirt to the office day, isn't it? I feel like got to squeak my clown nose a little bit for the wild card round. the drivers have to switch across from the GT3 machinery that they've spent several rounds adapting to and drive something that is not a GT3. It moves around a lot more underneath you. It's far more primitive in the rear suspension department, and the tires are, I think, sort of like a road semi-slick kind of thing. Not as much grip as you'd expect, and there is 325 horsepower to get you moving down that long back straight here.
Sure is. I jumped in the car to get a little bit of an idea of what the guys were dealing with here tonight, and as it turns out, for good measure, you can't actually spectate a session on iRacing without owning the car, since it's a one-car option here in Pass 2 in this first server tonight. Well, that means it's another $10 to the iRacing gods to acquire a new piece of content that, well, yes, I might not see much use of it personally, but indeed, it was quite a bit interesting. And also have to contend with, if you're one to like authenticity, full H-pattern box here, David. So no avoiding that clutch on the upshift or the downshift, at least as far as I could tell. So is very much a driver's car, and yeah, can certainly get away from you, not just under acceleration, but under braking and through the corners for good measure as well.
Yeah, indeed. Oh, that's one way it can get away from you, in that chicane towards the end of the back straight. Key overtaking opportunity on the brakes downhill in there, but you've just seen someone pick up a little bit of the grass, and very, very unforgiving. As qualifying has just a couple of minutes left. Drivers are pretty much on their last lap at this point, and sometimes you will notice drivers who aren't properly using that clutch really lose out time down the straights.
Indeed, yeah, a missed shift could easily kill a bit of speed in this car tonight. Certainly, we'll see it in the Audi 90 later on in the Pro-Am division for those who choose to jump in that vehicle. And thanks to a little bit of experience, I can say from a league season's worth of racing in that Audi 90. Missed shift hurts a lot when it comes to straight line speed. Be curious to see how much it hurts here in the Mustang, since I was able to get my head around the gearbox and the clutch actuation easily enough. But let's have a look here at the standings in qualifying, David, since we're now just under 2 minutes to go, which means drivers will be approaching the end of their, or chance to start their final lap tonight here. Heat format in use once again in Pass 2. 10-minute first race, 20-minute second race, meaning that we're going to see a hard cut here. So drivers have to make sure they're across the line before the timer gets below what they need to complete a lap. So in fact, this car we're tracking here has missed the chance to start a final lap. So speaking of that car, lovely pink machine, the number 64, it's Simon Cox. Provisional pole sitter, 133.68 across the line, so he doesn't improve. But he will be hanging on to provisional pole position there for the time being, it seems. Matt Andrews behind him, P2. Also championship leader here in Pass 2, the number 2 machine. Currently heading down the back straight and has got him sitting right up the beer box of Jason Muscat. So maybe a chance here for the number 2 car to improve his lap time. You see here now on board with him, David, into the 10A, 10B chicane at the end of the back stretch. Exit out here is really important. You can see Andrews' good use of all of the exit there, and has actually opted to pull the car down into pit lane though. So aborts this final qualifying run from him. And see here, no major changes coming up on screen at this stage. As we got more drivers out on track.
Andrews had gone purple in Sector 2 on that lap, but then lost time pretty heavily through his third mini sector of 4. Meanwhile, Simon Cox is purple in the second sector to replace that, but is not going to get around to complete it. So how about Dylan Canto? A bit deep, I would say, into that first apex of the chicane, and a bit deep out the second one too. Oh,
yep, that'll certainly do it for you.
I don't doubt the ambition, though.
Yeah, well, almost got it worked out, but yeah, no dice for the 55 Mustang. So a couple of drivers left on track. One of them is Brady Buchanan here, and unfortunately, there goes the checkered flag. So Buchanan not able to get that lap complete. So the grid is set for us here in the first of the 2 races for Pass 2, David. And once again, Simon Cox has shown up and got the speed once again this week after a good round for him in the GT3's last week out. Takes the pole position for tonight. Matt Andrews, championship leader, will be alongside him on that front row. Chad Lewis out of 3rd place. Dylan Canto, despite that mistake there at the end, good for 4th place tonight. Jason Muscat out of P5. And Hendrik Krasinga starting out of position number 6 here.
is going to be a standing start for them here on the pit straight, and Chester Lamb and Brady Buchanan are going to be row number 4, so 7th and 8th, and then Matt Hardigan in 9th. Stuart Brown is going to start out of 10th, and then Ben Pollock there in 11th with Matt Tesserero in 12th. I think I didn't make a mouthful of it this week.
Yeah, I think that worked out all right there, indeed. Anthony Connors out of P13 with Terry Knowles alongside him on row number 7 for 14th. Hilton Booth out of 15th place with Reese Ashmore alongside for 16th. Paul Longworth and Troy Mortensen rounding out row 9, for 17th and 18th. And then Hayden Jackson, the last car that was in the session earlier. No time set, 19th for him. The revs sound like they're just about to start rising, but we should have a little longer left here in the session. And Rob Hill also joined the session, but no time in practice or qualifying, so maybe a bit of a mixed bag there. But sounds like we're getting ready to race here. And in fact, there we go. Revs have risen. Green flag flies, and pass 2 is underway, David, for the first of 2 races tonight. Clean
Mega
start,
launch from Canto in 4th place there. Oh, and he's going to get squeezed out onto the grass too.
That he is. And look at them down the turn. 1 we go, 2, 3 wide. Oh, my goodness me. In behind Brady Buchanan, we've got Jason Muscat. I think he's just gone up the inside. And, oh no, big side-by-side contact there between Muscat and Lamb up the hill through turn 2. Thankfully, both cars look to have gotten away with that one there, David. So they're okay here. And getting this first lap underway, it would seem mostly okay, thankfully, as they make their way down the S's for the first time. These cars, big lumbering cars. And look at that, off in the grass. Who do we have there? Oh, boy. I think they've able to recover it there, but bit of a hairy moment there for one of the machine cars out in track. So, and did it on the side of the track. Anthony Connors in the number 14 machine. There's your answer. Kept a slowdown as a result of running wide through the S's. Meanwhile, front of the field, Simon Cox has gotten away to lead ahead of Matt Andrews, but Dylan Cantor, spin out of the turn 7. Oh, dear me. Who have we got there? Jason Muscat, the 46. Oh, disaster for him. And he falls to the back of the field there, David. So he's recovered, but it's going to be a long way back for him now as the field streaks its way down to 10A, 10B for the first time.
Yeah, and this is a pretty short race number 1 as well, so that is going to be really, really tough, and you'll have to hope to just pick it up where you left off from in race number 2. And these tyres, they can take quite a bit of a beating, but you go for a spin like that, you're going to put a whole lot of heat to the tyres that is going to be tough to get rid of.
Indeed, yeah. Very true. One of the other things to keep an eye on tonight is also fuel tank restrictions. Once again, in the Proam Sim Series will be an important thing to consider tonight. A 25% tank cap for both car classes later on. So critically here, what that means for the Mustang is a 14.6 litre starting capacity tonight. And with the way these cars operate, and well, the fuel burn that they've been putting out, around 2.2 to 2.3 litres per lap, David. These guys, depending on the pace at the front of the field as well, we might get 6 or 7 laps here in race number 1, and that will decide whether they need to fuel save a little bit to ensure they've got fuel capacity or fuel in the car to get 7 laps done tonight, or if they can afford to push on.
Catch 22, isn't it? You know, you back off a little bit to save that fuel to go the longer distance, and the race won't. You push on at maximum, attack, then it is going to be that longer race. So what do you do?
Have to wait and see. Well, a 141 opening lap, and then you
from a standing start.
Indeed, average pace of the field. We talk, say, 133s for the front of the field in qualifying there. They should be able to get 6 laps out of the time remaining if they can get into those 133s. So I would suspect, David, that we will get the 7 laps of racing in. In fact, even if you go back to a 134 average lap pace from the front of the field, they'll still get 7 laps in. So these drivers will hopefully be aware of that need to save the fuel, because it is a relatively aggressive amount of fuel saving needed. In fact, they've got to get the fuel burn about 0.2 to 0.3 litres a lap down on a maximum burn round here. So that will take a fair bit of saving. We'll have to see. First lap out of the gate for the race leader, 133.75. Don't reckon there's a lot of saving going on there at this stage, but we'll have to see.
My drivers to watch at this point, I reckon Dylan Canto in third here. So the leaders close up a little bit. Really, really great launch. Understood the bite point. Didn't get too much wheel spin. And even in a short race like this, knowing how to look after those tyres and just find the traction but not overstep it is going to pay dividends if everyone else's rear tyres go away later on in the race. It is a hot track. And my other driver to watch, Brady Buchanan. So he just pulled that move on Hendrik Kritzinger. And he's pushing on from there as well. So he's settling in very well.
Indeed, yep. Kritzinger has been a solid driver this season in that top 10 group. Currently running in 6th. He's got Brady Buchanan, though, who's on a charge and up 3 spots directly ahead of him in 5th place. You can see Kritzinger's car proudly adorning the Hot Wheels paint job.
There's a couple early 2000s liveries out there, and I'm living for it. I think there was was it Jackass on Musket, and someone else has just got sort of the flames.
I think so, yeah. Definitely an eclectic choice of designs on track. As we jump on board for a cockpit shot here with Kritzinger. In fact, right on board. This is what you see out of the Mustang FR 500S, the old classic dash design, as it were. In fact, definitely much throwback to the 2020 era of the Mazda MX-5s.
Leaders nearly touched in turn 1.
Oh, all right then. So
Matt Andrews had to really check up at the apex of 1 to not hit Simon Cox, and then it's brought Dylan Canto and Chad Lewis right in up front here as well.
Well, look at them go. Lapping in the 133 still, so we should get our 7 laps in. So the question is, Matt Hardigan, the 999, broken, bent, and back to the pit lane without a moment's hesitation. So unfortunately, trouble out there for the 999 Mustang. Hopefully, we'll get a chance to have a look at what's happened to him on replay here in just a moment's time. Indeed, the replay. Thanks to Virtual Racing School. Get a read on what happened to that machine as he comes down the S's here and just, despite the soft suspension, unfortunately not able to stabilize on the power down and nose first into the tire bundles. Does quite a bit of visual and surely mechanical damage to that car as well.
Parked it straight up, and I think the front axle was pointing to Virginia and the rear axle was pointing to West Virginia on that.
That's an interesting way to describe it. I think you're not entirely wrong about that one there. While we were looking at the replay, though, folks, an important change of position. Chad Lewis in the number 27. If I'm not mistaken, I could have sworn I saw him.
Canto lit him up coming onto the back straight. Lost a spot.
There you go. Yeah, indeed. So Dylan Canto loses a spot. So
and that, of course, happened because I said he had good throttle control.
Yep, indeed. Well, Chad Lewis and Dylan Canto getting back into their grid positions here. So just over 3 minutes on the clock. So indeed, at 1 minute 33s for this front pack of cars, they're pressing on. So I would expect these guys down the pit lane at the end of the next lap, unless they want to try and push aggressively here, and then it would have to be a massive lift and coast on the final lap. So I doubt that. So expect a really quick splash and dash from all these guys here. As the rate they're going, they will get to lap 7 and therefore be out of fuel. Unless these guys are all fuel-saving wizards. And you can see here on board again with Andrews. Very good run through the middle of the corner, but
he was in
Simon
third,
Cox,
and then he downshifted into second on the exit, so he obviously didn't quite get those gear shifts how he wanted. And it's cost him a little bit here, and you've got to be careful because that your top 5 within 3 seconds, and it's a pretty powerful slipstream down this back straight.
You can see it there. The train is sticking together quite nicely indeed. I was just thinking maybe Cox there in the middle of the apex of the corner there at turn 8, if I'm not mistaken, or 7. The naming conventions around this track, just like any other American circuit, are a right pain in the backside. And speaking of bad shifts, look at that for a run off of the final chicane. Matt Andrews up the inside down the hill into the final corner at turn 12, and he gets the lead before the start finish line, David. So there's our first look at a change of position here. Simon Cox thinks about the inside of the turn 1, but not quite there. So he's going to have to settle in for P2 for the time being. And clock continues to tick down, but indeed, well over 1 lap's worth of time in this race still. So we are going to lap 7. And how many of these guys come down the pit lane thinking that they're not going to be able to make it to the end here, David? I have to wonder. Surely a good number of these guys on board with Chad Lewis now. And look at him all over the back of Simon Cox. These guys have flipped a switch as Cox opted to go for the fuel-saving run right here at the end of the race, I wonder.
You wait and see, but a lot of that pass for the lead eventuated from these cars have got ABS, but the ABS can't save you from just braking too deep. And I think what Cox did into the chicane, so goes wide of the first apex of the chicane, wide on the exit of the second, and crossing back underneath Matt Andrews, went through for the lead of the race. But I think there is a lot of drama and a lot of sting in the tail for this one. Watch that pit entry on this coming to the white flag lap.
It should be busy indeed, because they haven't let up here at the front. Still lapping in the 133s. Oh, Chester. Goodness, sorry, pardon me, Chad Lewis. Look at that from P3. All kinds of loose under brakes. Trying to stay with the front two. So down the hill we come. No. Here they all come across the line, staying out. White flag in the air this time by. So we're going to get 7 laps on the clock. Do they have enough? Was I completely out? I could have sworn
Maybe
it was
your
2
captain Leadfoot.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, maybe. We'll have to wait and see, because, well, I got a chance to do 1 flying lap as in the practice session before we went live here tonight to get an idea of what to expect out of the Mustang FR500S. And, well, my rough calculation was around 2.3 max, 2.2 maybe litres per lap. So if they've been saving just a little bit and getting it to about 2.1 per lap there or thereabouts, they'll be close. They'll need to save more aggressively here right at the end to be sure. But we'll see here. There's no sign of saving out of Simon Cox in P2. And certainly no saving out of Matt Andrew here. So one final run down the back straight. Who gets the run off of the right-hander here? The answer is fairly neutral, but looks like Andrews has saved his best right to the end here and to take the lead just when it matters.
Yeah, and a bit of a weave down the back straight, so critical. Matt Andrews might even just distract himself with this one. He had enough time, I could have sworn, to Simon Cox.
Well, buffer of about half a second here into the braking zone at the end of the back straight. 10A, 10B, 11 and 12, all that's left here. Come through the corners, just making sure not to abuse track limits. Up the hill they come. And over the crest here, Matt Andrews looks to have it under control here. Cox is close, but not close enough. So Matt Andrews gets the race win here in the first of 2 tonight. And there we are. Just able to get it home there in a 7-lap race. So must have just overcalculated the fuel burn. Then again, drivers pulling over straight away. Chad Lewis and Brady Buchanan to name 2. Simon Cox has only just pulled the car up immediately out of turn 1. So I get the feeling here these guys are pretty close to being on fumes. But we'll have to wait and see.
Remember, we take the invert of the top 10 into the grid for race number 2, and I think it's Anthony Connors who snuck into that lucky 10th place. Jason Muscat in 12th was fighting up front early on, remember, but he's going to have to start from 12th on the grid.
Yeah, we'll run through that grid for you now. 20-minute race coming up in a moment's time. We have a short warm-up to take a break with, though, so got a chance to catch our breath and try and get our heads around the strategy after seeing that one there. But once again, Matt Andrews, your race winner here in the first of 2, 4 past 2 tonight. Just under a quarter of a second ahead of Simon Cox there at the line. Chad Lewis holds on the P3 there nicely tonight, 1.2 seconds back, and Dylan Canto not too far in behind him for good measure. Brady Buchanan running out of top 5. Good gains for him in the first race ahead of Hendrik Krasinga holding on to 6th place. Chester Lamb in 7th. Matt Tesoriero in 8th. Ben Pollock 9th. And just fending off Anthony Connors there to round out our top 10 in the first race here.
So, of course, you take that top 10 and you invert them. Everyone from here on down is going to be starting that longer race 2 in this order of Hilton Booth, Jason Muscat, Reese Ashmore, Paul Longworth, Terry Knowles, Troy Mortensen, Stuart Brown. For Matt Hardigan, that incident, just bouncing it across the curb a little bit too much at 3 is going to be quite costly as it rolls into race number 2. Yeah, but how many drivers have you seen do that, though, in any kind of car? Just a little bit too much at 3, and it spins and flicks back into that wall at driver's right.
Indeed. It's a thing time and time again, unfortunately, catches out plenty of drivers in plenty of different cars. So, no exception here tonight. Pardon me for these group of guys. So, we'll have to keep our eyes on it once again. So, 20 minutes coming up in past 2, but just got a warm-up phase here, so we'll take a quick moment here on SimSpeed TV and be back with you in just a second.
fantastic. This is GT racing right now. He's got traction, he's going in the outside, both of them! Maloney!
Oh, he's taken Anderson. Anderson's up to
Oh my god! Big crash! Oh my goodness, half the field's gonna get rolled!
Six very close. These guys are want to make their way through the field very quickly. Oh, there we go. Oh no, that's massive. This is it. This is over. I can't believe this. Oh my god.
God, what?
For 2022 Season 2, the GT3 class receives a substantial aerodynamic overhaul based on newly acquired data. This new model prominently displays many real-world characteristics such as stall of both the splitter and diffuser at very low ride heights, stall of the rear diffuser at very high ride heights, a much greater emphasis on roll and pitch sensitivity in terms of performance, more realistic use of chassis rake and wing angles to determine total downforce level, and finally, more accurate total downforce and drag numbers. In association with this, various cards throughout the class have received updates to their available spring and anti-roll bar packages. This is to provide more appropriate options for controlling the aerodynamic platform. As such, you will find that softer spring rates have been removed in some cars, while additional stiffer spring rates have been added in their place. Along with this aerodynamic update, the class also sees a further update to the tyre specification. To retain close parity with real-world lap times, overall tyre grip has reduced slightly, and tyre life has also seen a revision. While wear lives will typically still be acceptable for double stinting, overall tyre performance will now degrade more appropriately with temperature effects, thus resulting in reduced tyre performance in the second stint. So what does this mean in driving? Well, the first thing that you will notice is greatly improved high-speed cornering and braking capabilities, with deceleration from high speed being particularly improved. This allows you to really stand on the brake pedal aggressively and make use of the increased downforce before bleeding off pressure as you approach turning. Medium speed cornering is going to feel somewhat similar to what you've been used to, while low speed cornering will require a more careful application of the throttle and greater emphasis on rotating the car early in the corner. Overall limit feel in these situations will feel improved.
Welcome back to SimSpeed TV. Thanks for sticking with us here after a quick break for the warm-up in between our first races here tonight for the SimRigs.com Proam Sim Series, season number 6, round number 6. It's past 2, first up from Road Atlanta here in the wildcard round with the Ford Mustang FR500S in use. My name is Eddie Amon, David Haynes alongside me in the commentary box, and Scott Fontaine on production. As we see here the grid, almost ready for this second race for this group tonight. 20 minutes on the clock. Time limited means we should see about 13 laps here, David, and 1 pit stop for fuel. Just about everyone should be on the grid here. In fact, everyone is here on the grid. Car blinking in and out. Never mind them, because here comes the green flag from Barney there on the flagpole. We're away for race number 2. Bit of a bad launch there from Chester Lamb, but looks things. Look at that, 3 wide on the final row as we get this race on the way, David.
3 wide from the row behind as well. Good start from your pole sitter, Anthony Connors. But that is a tough place to be, around the outside there.
Chester Lamb on the very exit of turn 1. We can see there in the blue and white GoPro machine. Oh, he had a mega moment getting the grass on the brakes. Very lucky he was able to pull that one up and hang on to it there. So carries on down the S's here on lap 1. Everyone more or less in single file. Do we have anyone run wide this time? The answer is no. Everyone's got it under control. Anthony Connors holds the lead, but Ben Pollock looks to have good speed here on the opening lap. Hard charger is Dylan Canto. He's up 3 spots already into P4 there. So watch out for that number 55 Mustang. As you see it, looking for the inside of Matt Tesoriero. at turn number 6, but no dice here. Let Simon Cox, P2 in the first race tonight, though, up the inside of Hendrik Krasinga in that Hot Wheels Mustang there through turn 7, David. It looks like he's almost got the job done. Contact, though. They're into the fence. Oh, engine blown immediately for Simon Cox. You can see the smoke from the nose. Oh, and parked backwards on the track. His day is done in race number 2. Meanwhile, almost side by side for the race lead here. Connors up the pardon me, it's Pollock up the inside of Connors. Actually has to wait for the turn in to not cut the corner too much. But change for the lead and drama in the top 10 here, David. Lap 1 is bringing it all for us here tonight in the second of the races for Pass 2.
Yeah, we'll go back and have a look at that moment for Simon Cox in a second. The 2x2 through the final sector here, and Pollock manages to hold on out front, and Dylan Canto slides his way up to third. There are some hard chargers cutting their way through the field right now, like Canto and like Chad Lewis.
Oh dear, Matt Tesoriero spun by none other than race 1 winner Matt Andrews. Oh, and he's now on the pit exit. Speaking of, cars off, that's Dylan Canto on the 55. That we're just crediting with a really good opening up. Look at the rejoin here, just in behind Chester Lamb. So back to 8th place for the 55 machine. The front of the field has been absolutely thrown to chaos. Chad Lewis is now up into P2. In the meantime, that's all been happening. Anthony Connors is dropping back a little bit. You can see there the damage on the front end of Matt Andrews' car. It's not a huge amount, but very much visually apparent that he's been involved in front-to-rear contact. I was just saying, caught the rear of Matt Tesoriero at turn 1. Bit of a dive almost up the inside, so we'll have to grab a replay of it in a moment. And we'll get to that all in just a second. But first up, we'll have a look back again at Simon Cox and Hendrik Krasinga on lap 1 in just a moment's time here as the field continues to make their way down the back straight on lap number 2.
So here it is. Taking a look back, or trying.
So here's start of lap 2. Matt Andrews and Tesoriero. The faintest of contact as Tesoriero turns that car in from a wide entry versus a very narrow entry for Andrews. And unfortunately, that's an incident that happens here at Road Atlanta from time to time. So we see it once. This is Dylan Canto on board with him, trying to go around the up the inside of turn 1, pardon me, on Anthony Connors. And as he swings across and side to side contact there with Connors. That explains why Connors gets knocked back to P3 there, and Canto has to rejoin back in 8th. He's just able to get up to speed in time to hang on to that 8th place spot there. So there's the drama from lap 2. And, well, yeah, we saw the drama from lap 1. But we go back to live pictures here, David, because here's our top 3 on track. Oh, rough exit off of the turn number 7 there, pardon me, for Chad Lewis in that blue and yellow Mustang. Brings Anthony Connors back into a shot here for a pass down the end of the back straight, and lap traffic already ahead on circuit. So we've got ourselves 3 cars already a lap down. Matt Hardigan, Terry Knowles are the first 2 directly ahead of the race leaders here.
Yep, so looking from Connors at Chad Lewis, Ben Pollock, the leader, just in front of them, but it's Terry Knowles and Matt Hardigan, who had earlier problems in this race, have made their pit stop and look at risk of going a lap down now. But when all of these leaders have to pit, that'll probably put them a little more safely on the lead lap. Oh, it's there for Hardigan with more problems.
Oh, dear me. Yeah, the 999 Mustang in the Wars race 1. Unfortunately, mistake from himself was the cause there, and more front-end damage of the substantial variety on that Mustang here in race number 2. So here the leaders making their way down the S's here. 4 laps in now. And while it says 20 laps on the timing tower, we will be time certain because it's also a 20-minute race. And the leaders of this field are lapping in the 134s. So 130 high 133s at this stage. So we're looking at around 13 laps here, which means it's a one-stop race given the fuel tank restriction. If you didn't catch it in first race, 25% of the tank is what is available to these guys here tonight, which turns out to be 14.6 litres. And at around 2.1, 2.2 litres per lap. They need to run it out to 7 laps here, then fill her up. There's basically a 1 lap window where you can come in early if you reckon you've got the fuel saving chops at the end of lap 6, and then go from there, or stretch it out in the first stint, and then maybe go flat out here as we're on board this time with Brady Buchanan, looking for the inside of Anthony Connors. Connors defending the outside, the racing line into turn 10A. It's actually worked beautifully, as here comes Matt Andrews up the inside of Buchanan to take 4th place off him there on the switchback.
Yeah, and Chad Lewis took the race lead from Ben Pollock as well, so a lot going on. Really big pack up front at the minute.
Careful there, Matt Andrews. A very narrow entry again into turn 1.
We talked about coming from 12th on the grid or something. He's mixing it up right amongst the race leaders here as well.
That he is up 6 spots in that. Matt Black, 46 Mustang, to jump on board with our driver here. Once again, you see here, down the hill they come, leaning on the car aggressively. Front end grip, very much compromised when trying to maintain the speed. And look at the wheel work there on the brakes. Ben Pollock is slow on corner exit, and he gets absolutely swarmed as a result. So look at them all go by here. The 86 Mustang started off really nicely out of the box, but he's now back to position number 6. Look at that side-by-side directly behind between Dylan Canto and Chester Lamb. Canto gets ahead there at turn number 6. So,
and I'll tell you who feels like a big winner of all of this is Chad Lewis. Look at him suddenly with a handful of car lengths over everyone squabbling behind.
And bang indeed. Look at that. Check out just what the doctor ordered. So see these guys making their way down the straight. And yeah, Dylan Canto almost at the back of the train. Just well, she was at the back of the train. Dive bomb move! Oh no! Ben Pollock and Jason Muscat together, and oh goodness me, was that a missed braking point?
Oh, it better be, because otherwise he's skittled them.
Very lucky to only get one driver as we jump on board for the virtual racing school replay here with Pollock. Coming down the hill, just grabbing 5th gear there. Pretty lengthy gears in these cars, and you see over the crest he comes. Oh, the lights are on ahead. That just has to be, well, you're gonna hope, for all that's good and reasonable, that's just getting distracted by something and missing the brake marker, because flying down the inside like that, these cars don't particularly have the grip to make that work there. And Muscat pays the innocent price.
Some dented looking Mustangs around now.
Oh, we're back with live pitches, but trouble. Yeah, trouble at the top of the hill at turns 2 and 3. The 918 of Reese Ashmore is now another smoking Mustang there. Looking pretty vulnerable to front end damage here, David, as plenty of old car does. And yep, Ashmore tows his car back to the pit lane. His race is more or less done. But look here at the front of the field. Well, actually, we'll jump back to the replay real quick. I'll keep my eyes on the live footage. And just so you can see here, pardon me, back to live pitches once again, as we were going to see here if Matt Andrews makes a move. But replay real quick here of Reese Ashmore. And oh no, contact with who else but, well, Ben Pollock of all people. Unfortunately, that's not on Pollock. That's just Ashmore turning across a car that he'd never cleared. And the front end feels the pinch. Back to live pitches, and a good time for it, because here comes Matt Andrews, and oh, gives a door to Anthony Connors through the final corner. Connors in the grass through the final turn. Thankfully, able to steer that car back on track. Drops from 1st to 3rd, though, so... Pardon me, sorry, from 2nd to 4th. Chad Lewis is still out in front, and there he is at the top of shot. Getting myself all crisscrossed here. These guys are fighting over P2. P1 is up the road. Matt Andrews, though, has got the elbows out here. He's very much aggressive today. Clock jumps, well, crosses the halfway point on time, so expect these cars into the pit lane this lap to fill up and make it home from here. Chad Lewis in the hot seat to win this one. But I reckon Brady Buchanan's in with a decent shot at P2 if he can close up the gap here. Matt Andrews, though, is looking very good off of these corner exits at the time being here, David.
You're trying to steal my commentator's curse on that one, but that was a good move indeed from Andrews, and Connors just got hung out a little bit to dry, and Brady Buchanan also came through and up into 3rd, and you see him there. Dylan Canto still looming and lurking on them. Is he also going to be able to get that car touched up a little bit at the stop?
Yes, they will indeed. They've got 2 fast repairs available to them here in the Proam Sim Series, so plenty of opportunities to get these cars fixed up And back to full race ready as we jump on board with Connors here, now running in 4th. So doing well, having started from the reverse top 10 pole. No. Okay, I must have gotten the fuel numbers horrendously wrong, because here they go past the pit lane once again. And, well, I'll have to rerun the numbers as to how much they're actually burning on average. If they can make it 8 laps here on a single tank of fuel, these Mustangs are actually quite economical, as it would turn out. Which, if I'm frankly honest, economical and Mustang, didn't think that was 2 words I'd say in the same sentence, especially when referring to a V8 variety of the car.
Good old 5.4 litre modular V8, I think it is as well. Or was it 4.6? Something in that variety before their more current generation, and then of course the EcoBoost. So your closest cars are sort of 2nd, 3rd, and 4th.
I would suspect it's a big displacement engine. That seems like the kind of thing that a company like Ford would do. Even if it's not producing a huge amount of power, 5.4 litres does seem like an engine capacity for the time as well, for good measure. So down the backstretch they come once again. Connor's in the slipstream of Buchanan for 3rd. Anything coming of it down the hill this time as we jump on board once again. Race leader up ahead. Got a little bit of traffic to navigate, but no moves into the 10A 10B chicane here. Now please tell me you've got to come in for fuel this lap, guys. Don't make me a liar. I'm still a liar. Okay, we've monumentally got the fuel numbers wrong. 9 laps going to be on the board before they have to come down the pits. So, wow, I must have... Yeah, I've somehow really got my practice calculations wrong. I'm going to go and try and rerun those, I think, again, whilst we switch over to the next server, I think. Probably don't have enough time for it, knowing the way things work out here in AusPASS, but
From
one can dream.
1996 to 2009, the Ford Mustang GT was a 4.6 litre V8 from the Ford modular family.
Right-o then. Okay, I was suspecting it was a high displacement, surely. But no. There you go. Stand me corrected. So that explains... Well, there's a bit of history for you all there. I wonder, though, if the FR500S... Actually, given this car is mostly production, it probably does run exactly the same power plants that we're used to. As we jump on board here with Stuart Brown, currently running in 7th place. He's done an excellent job, up 10 spots in this race, David. So feast your eyes upon the biggest mover up the field, at least. Unfortunately, the biggest mover downwards would be Ben Pollock, who's also lost, well, also had 10 spots, but he's lost them all versus gained them, actually. Oh. Slap myself with a wet fish, because that was a complete lie. Hendrik Krasinga, unfortunately, is our biggest loser in this race. Still actually down on pit lane with a very long pit stop here.
3rd time on the lane as well, so not quite sure what's there.
Yep, that's quite a bit of trouble there indeed. So here comes the lead pack, and they're coming across the line once again. So these cars apparently have 10 laps of fuel in them if you know how to just eke the fuel out ever so slightly. So, well, that's incredible. That's very economical fuel burn. We're talking about less than 1.5 litres per lap at this rate in that case. Because they are indeed capped at 14.6.
0.45 of a gallon per lap at Daytona, which is a longer lap than here, and that approximates as 1.5 litres a lap at Daytona.
Right, okay, so I've just completely got the fuel numbers wrong for these cars in my attempt to rush a test. Actually...
Did you do burnouts the whole way around that lap?
I think I know what I did. I think I've just realised what I did wrong.
Oh dear.
Yep. I'll tell you what I did wrong, David.
Dying to hear it.
I got a chance to do one flying lap, which also included... So there was an out lap and a flying lap, and somehow I've completely forgotten the fact that you start with 14 litres in the car, and I was down to about 12.2, but that's technically the end of 2 laps, not 1. So, yes, fuel burn here is about 1.2 litres. Well, if you work the numbers there. So, that's why we're horrendously out of check on the fuel burn, and as a result, here comes the pit window, ladies and gentlemen. So down onto the lane, who have we got? Matt Andrews, Brady Buchanan, and Anthony Connors are your first three takers from the front of the pack. So, in the meantime, I'm going to try and rerun the fuel numbers and see what we need to get here for the next race coming up. You can see here on the pit limiter, or is that just the rev limiter in these cars? I'm not quite sure. As they
I'm
are
not
older
confident
production
these have got a pit limiter.
That's seems likely.
So we've got 3 drivers who've come in, but a lot of others continuing on at least 1 lap longer. Chad Lewis has held onto that lead. Dylan Canto's gone through into second for the moment. And again, a couple of these drivers strike me as people who could do a little bit with some clean air. Canto, for example. Muscat as well, trying to recover a bit of damage on that car, and he's caught up to the back of Tesoriero, Booth, and Longworth.
Indeed, yep. 3-car train. And Buchanan, now the first of the cars to pit, 9 seconds stationary. So refueling here is pretty lengthy despite what must be, for all intents and purposes, well, it's a bit of a splash and a dash around here because if you've got a 13-lap race...
Buchanan jumped Andrews in that pit lane.
That he did indeed. Yeah, Andrews had a lengthy stop, 11 seconds. So cost him a bit of time there, stationary, and Connors is still ahead of him. As you can see here, well, just ahead, Buchanan trying to get his move on and get past some lap traffic here. Reese Ashmore, after his earlier entanglement, is trying to mind his own business. Currently back down in 16th place, but Buchanan didn't get the run off the corner there as a result, David, so he's now under pressure from Connors, who's thinking about a move down into 10A-10B, but has to back out because...
All of these cars are going to come into pit lane, and if you're Buchanan or Connors, you don't want to be to the right-hand side of them as you come over the hill here.
Yeah, Buchanan's in a bit of a dicey spot. Surely these guys peel off into the lane. Mostly do, but the car right in front of Buchanan doesn't. Hilton Booth, he's looking to make this car go 12 laps, but he's very slow. Is he?
Got no pace. Is it ticking over is the question as well.
It's
Real touchy
going.
moment through there. Everyone but Booth and Troy Mortensen have been into the lane. I think Mortensen's on his way.
I'm on board with Hilton Booth now. Just trying to get a read on, is the engine starting to cut? Don't think so. He's just very slow in comparison. A 1 minute 40 last lap around. He is possibly trying to make this car go the distance. But it's costing him a huge amount of time. As you can see here, the 488 Mustang is being hunted down by everyone who's stopped around him. Behind him is Reese Ashmore, unfortunately lap traffic, but the next car down the road is Chester Lamb. And the gap back to Chester isn't that much as Ashmore looks to the inside of Booth, but not able to make the move stick. So down the straight we go. And you see 1 minute on the clock. So race leader Chad Lewis is heading down to 10A-10B, and we'll get the white flag this time by. So has Hilton got enough in that car to make it last one more lap? Meanwhile, Matt Andrews is having another look at Anthony Connors, but nothing of it this time by. So sits back in line as they try and chase back down Buchanan. The track's cleared up, and Buchanan's had a shocking run at 10A-10B. Connors looks for the outside as the attack position. That's going to leave him exposed to Andrews on the inside here. Through the final corner we go. Connors, is he held out wide? No. He's able to keep it around the outside. Buchanan, a lot more generous with the space, and he tries to cover off Andrews. He does. Oh, here we go. White flag in the air. These guys are leaving nothing on the table here, David, as we get this final lap underway.
Really painful pit stop phase there for Matt Andrews, now finding himself battling over fifth. First and second are up the road, and they're not going to catch him on this lap, barring tragedy, and that is a... Oh, track limits, bouncing off the curb, side by side through the S's. You never see it, and it doesn't end well.
Massive contact with the fence. Connors maybe just trying to return a bit of tough love serve after what happened in race one. But, oh boy.
Dylan Canto's going to fight for that race win on the final lap here as well.
Yeah, I think we better go back to the front of the field because they are nose to tail. He's in prime position and he's gaining down the straight. So it's just a matter of when does he pull out from behind the slipstream to set himself up for the move. There he goes to the left side of Chad Lewis. Down to 10A-10B we go. If Chad can hold around the outside, maybe he holds it up on the apex of 10B and he can just hang on. But it's going to be a tough run around the outside of 10A. Holds it up on 10Bs. He got the drive off the corner. Here we go, over the hill. One last time, David. Canto's there. He's looking. Almost rubbing panels. The final corner, all that's left. Chad Lewis on the inside. Canto on the outside. It's going to be Chad Lewis. They make it across the line. Lewis takes the win. Only just
0.047 of a second. I think both of them enjoyed that.
Oh, excellent car control from both drivers, and thankfully the wreck happens after the line as the field makes their way across to take the flag themselves. You can see here one of our final packs out on track, coming down to 10A, 10B now. Ben Pollock trying to fend off Matt Tesseriro for 8th place here, and looks to have got the job done here. Hinsel Booth had to pull out eventually and go to the pit lane, so he's going to hang on though to a top 10 finish despite trying to really stretch that tank. So I think he'll be relatively happy with that one there, I would suspect. And leaves us with just about 1 or 2 people left on circuit to finish. Simon Cox is coasting along the back straight, so something has gone horrendously wrong. In fact, okay, interesting. Pitted on lap 12 for 3.8 seconds. But here's Cox. Has he not despite coming to the lane twice, he's not taken on enough fuel, it would seem.
So, sort of hero of race 1 and a really, really tough race number 2 here for Simon Cox.
Yep. Hero to 0. That's a $1 million question. I'm not convinced he will. He's trying to get it to roll to the finish line, but he's going to join the group of cars that are 1 lap down unless he can get a push here, and up on the brakes, and he calls it quits there. So, yeah, after a P2 finish in race 1, beaten to the line in the final laps, a rough end to Simon Cox's second race tonight. Well, we'll have a go to the quick look at the results here, folks, because we don't have a lot of time into the main game server, but pardon me to run you through the results here real quick in the top 10. Chad Lewis with that race win, just 0.04 of a second ahead of Dylan Canto in the end of it all. Brady Buchanan 4th, and Anthony Connors holds on to a top 5 finish there despite that contact on the final lap. Stuart Brown bringing it home in 6th ahead of Jason Muscat in 7th. Ben Pollock in 8th ahead of Matt Tesseriro in 9th, and Hilton Booth there rounding out our top 10 in this second race tonight.
And Paul Longworth, Troy Mortensen, and Matt Andrews last cars on that lead lap. Simon Cox running out of fuel, and it wasn't his day in race number 2 before that. Regardless, Matt Hardigan also quite a bit of damage for his Ford Mustang. Terry Knowles 1 lap down too. Reese Ashmore we saw into the fence, and Hendrik Kritzinger the retirement there as well.
Indeed. Unfortunately, a couple of drivers not making it to the finish there. Hayden Jackson looks to have made a small mistake in joining the wrong server tonight, so he didn't take part, because we'll see him in just a moment's time for the Pro-Am divisions. But that's going to do it here for Pass 2 this week, but we'll take a quick break here once again on SimSpeed TV. We'll be back with you in just a second when we return with the Pro and Am divisions, and we introduce the Audi 90 GTO to the mix here at Road Atlanta.
Sim racing, or maybe a veteran struggling to reach the next level? Have you ever wondered how the aliens reach impressive lap times that seem impossible to achieve? If so, you're not alone. Most drivers reach a certain level and get stuck. But getting faster on track is easier than you think. Vera's coaches are some of the best sim racers in the world and offer one-on-one driver skills training at affordable rates to help new drivers learn the basics and help experienced drivers break through to the next level. Are you ready to get faster and get off the iRating roller coaster? If so, VRS one-on-one personal training is for you. If you've invested in your equipment, it might be time to invest in yourself. Just go to virtualracingschool.com and sign up for a 30, 60 or 90-minute session with one of our world-class coaches, and you'll learn exactly what to do for faster lap times and more podiums.
To SimSpeed TV for the simrigs.com Oz Proam Sim Series. Round number 6, or season number 6. Daniel Yeaman still alongside me here in the commentary box, and David Haynes alongside me. Apologies as we get ready for the first of 2 races here in the Pro-Am division. And welcome to the Audi 90 GTO alongside the Mustang FR 500S. Well, David, here's the grid. Brandon Levin, as it turns out, taking a pole position here. And one of our pro drivers that we've seen around the top 10 so far this season, but knocking on the front row. So that's our top 6 there. So Levin, Connell, Webster, Rizzo, Cheney, and Audi. And then here from row number 4, Graham Smith and Joshua Fitt. The first of our Amcars, Dale Carpenter and Sam Lehman, and Derek Audi out of 11th place, and Aaron Racanello, the last of our Audi 90s, or pardon me, Angus Chappell way down the field. No qualifying time has been sent behind the grid. So Mustangs here, it's Sebastian Vondel, pole for that class, ahead of Calix Poon, Dennis Gadderick and Lachlan Capel. There on row number 8, and then row 9 with Richard Brookfield and Jordan Peter will be there. And then 19th is Matthew Cartalone, 20th Matthew Funslow, Nick Wood in 21st, Jadek Widders in 22nd, Liam Caplice 23rd, Wayne Losh in 24th, Christopher Henn 25th ahead of Daniel Hill in 26th, Hayden Jackson, Mos Moroz, Damien Seeger, Matthew Johnson, and then our 31st and final car is Angus Chappell, who's a little bit isolated in the Audi 90 at the back of the field, apparently. Indeed, yep, has been sent.
He'll cut through quickly, though. Massive horsepower and traction advantage on some much nicer tyres as well compared to these Ford Mustangs. It's 5 cylinders, it's turbo, it's 4-wheel drive for the Audi 90 GTO. They'll get off the line quick, too.
Yep, the clutch might be a bit fiddly here, but here comes the revs. Wait for the green flag from Barnes. We get the first race underway here, and there's a bad start from P3, though. One of our drivers. So here comes the action as Pro-Am is underway here. 15 minutes on the clock, time certain. And look at that, indeed. Audi 90s away here at the front of the field. They'll streak away at about 10 to 15 seconds a lap faster. Trouble in the mid-pack for the Mustangs. And, oh, dear me. Cars are rounding off. Matthew Cartalone is dropping down the order along with Richard Brookfield. So there's 2 suspects. We see there a car loose through the S's as well. Oh, jeepers me, David. It's a bit crazy here, but it looks like the guys are bringing out all the stops. The front of the field, though, mostly clean as the Audis make their way down to turn number 6 for the first time.
They're so wide, these Audis, but yeah, 5, maybe 6 Mustangs all coming together in turn number 1, and they are not going to be well thrilled with that. Again, 2 race format for these guys, though.
Oh,
that is a problem.
Oh, what's Ross Rizzo done? Oh, goodness
Can
me.
you pop the motor? Can you pop the motor?
You can, but it's not a motor pop. He's got going again, so that's a hardware failure of some kind. Surely he's got a misshift going on there. It's easy to do in these cars. Manual gearbox, once again, just like the Mustang, which means you've got to absolutely know your shift points and know how much clutch activation you need. It's kind of sensitive on the upshift in particular. So if he didn't get enough clutch in, he could have been absolutely bouncing off the limiter in first or second and just stuck trying to go nowhere. Meanwhile, who's that in the grass? Timothy Audi or Jordan Peter, I think, there. Oh, yikes. Actually, it would have been Tim Audi. Well, because I think, yes, indeed, it was Tim Audi there across the start-finish line. So, oh, yikes. These guys, they're a handful of a car. Lots of understeer when you're trying to keep the power in it. Meanwhile, at turn 3, that was Graham Smith making a move on Daniel Cheney. goodness me, for 9th place outright. Bit of wheel work going on from the boys here, but certainly there's definitely some good wheel work amongst a bit of the chaos here to start this race off tonight. Oh,
no.
as I'm saying
Turn
that.
5. So easy to get too much of the curb at the top of the S's there, and Aaron Raccanello, was bitten the wall pretty hard, I think.
Oh, yeah, he has. Yeah, the 247 of Raccanello is absolutely destroyed the front end, and he's back to the pit lane. So his first race is more or less done here. Can get that car towed and repaired thanks to the fast repairs, but yeah, he will go down a lap here as the front of the field streaks their way down the hill. And surprise, surprise, look who's made it to the front of the Pro Division. He's up 1 spot from his starting place, but it's Jeff Connell who controls the lead of this race. So once again, defending series champion, and has been on a bit of a hot streak the past couple of weeks with good results as well. Continuing to deliver the goods as we jump on board here with Sam Lehman in the 15 machine. Look at that, all of the track and then some grass for good measure. That's the tricky part of these cars here, is you want to get on the power, but you lean on the power through the corners, and the four-wheel drive system will just send you wide here as you load the front tyres up, David.
Yeah, it makes quite a sound too. So while the racing's been pretty close amongst the Audis, of the Mustangs that survived, I mean, your top 7, there is genuinely about 2.5 seconds to cover them as well. I would assume that's paying equal points as well.
Does, yeah. So the challenge here to keep track of things is not only are we talking about looking at the class divide in terms of the vehicles on track, in terms of where people are going to finish up, but you also got to look at where the driver classes, the Pro-Am division is assigned here by the AusPASS admins also apply. So I can tell you right now that our lead pro driver is Jeff Connell in that number 1 Audi at the very front of the field. Our leading AM driver is Dale Carpenter, who's 6th outright in the Audis in the 111 machine. So that's an idea of, you can see Carpenter is in that battle pack at the rear shot with, in the middle, Daniel Webster's in the middle of it there. So he's in that group there as they're actually making their way past one of the Mustangs. If we have a look here, indeed, Carpenter there running Chill Out Motorsports paint scheme. That's very much familiar to me. Shout out to the boys over at Real House Arcade and their Audi 90 series has just wrapped up a couple of weeks ago, David. That's actually where I can lay claim to my experience with the car. And see here, working the way to the S's. Oh, look at this. Traffic already a factor now. So the Mustangs are about 15 seconds a lap slower. Or 13 to 15 seconds a lap slower. We'll sort of just go in that rough range. So these Audis obviously want to try and clear the traffic here. Thankfully, so far, so good in these opening laps here, David. Getting back to what I was going to be mentioning was, so we've got Connell and Carpenter leading the 2 classes within the Audi. But if we look at the Mustangs, Dennis Gaderick is 13th outright on track. He's leading the Mustangs on circuit, so that puts him as number 1. He's also a Pro Division car. And then it's Liam Caplice, 17th outright, who's leading the AM class tonight for those in the Mustang. So very much got ourselves a 4-way sort of battle that we have to understand here as we see this battle pack continue. Oh, meanwhile, trouble at 10B. Oh, dear, Sam Lehman. Well, he actually got through it all right, but Daniel Cheney and Graham Smith entangled. Meanwhile, Derek Audie behind them, off shot from me. Oh, trouble for him as well in the 88 machine, and that car is bent, I think. Yeah, he's crabbing his way ever so slightly into the pit lane. So these guys definitely struggling still, even at this stage, with these cars. Ross Rizzo, we saw an absolute shocker of a lap 1. Pretty sure it was some kind of hardware failure or misshift in that 784 machine. He's now back in 10th outright and trying to close down the gap to leave at 13 seconds down from where he started this race, David.
Yeah, indeed he is, and a lot of work to do from there. I like these 3 up front, though. Jeff Connell not quite yet able to get away, and Brandon Levin and Timothy Orty right in behind.
Down the hill they come, and oh, look at this. Oh, goodness me. Oh, Jeff Cole's been given a gift-wrapped car there as one of the Mustangs. I believe that'll be, where are you? It's Sir Daniel Hill, the number 14, pink. Yep, indeed it was. As Hill makes his way around the final turn. Just very unfortunately for Brandon Levin, who was right in behind him as it turned out, and got stuck. Oh, Connell in the meanwhile was just going around the outside through the pit exit area of a Mustang. Look at them up the hill here, just trying to get past before the braking zone and the turn-in point for turn 3, David. Oh, you can see these guys there. They're in a rush and they're starting to lap cars. So Matthew Johnson, the currently 25th outright, is the first car now a lap down. So the Audis here making quick work at the front of the field, at least, of the back marker Fords. And with the way they're going on pace, might get, depending on how the back markers go, they might go 2 laps down here compared to the Audis. We'll have to wait and see on board there with one of our front runners as they just missed the Mustang there of Matthew Johnson. It was Doug Carpenter in the 111. So our AM class leader, you can see here, minding his own business, trying to stay with Joshua Fitt there to tackle challenge for 5th outright, and a healthy gap back to the next group of cars. Sam Lehman leading Graham Smith, but good tow as possible in this car. Smith pulls out early, so no dice this time. Oh, to 10A, little catch of the grass. Thankfully holds on to it, David. Oh, no, smoke. What's happened?
Catalone is in the wall now there, and a couple of Mustangs getting tripped up through 10A, 10B.
See, guys leaning on each other. They're working hard. But the 81 of Catalone started 7th in class for the Mustangs at least. And now back to 17th in class. And oh, no, look at that. More trouble for Mustangs. It's... Oh, and there we go. The end result is chaos. And look at that. Cars left, right, and center trying to dodge that one there. Oh, my goodness me. I was wondering in the back of my mind if we were going to have issues with multi-class chaos around here, because these two classes are quick enough in this. Also, the way the Audi makes its speed is so much on acceleration versus cornering speed. You can see here the race leader Jeff Connell has been caught back up by Brandon Levin. Meanwhile, Daniel Webster's looking on the outside of Timothy Audi. So down the hill we go to turn 10 AB. He's ahead already. Audi tries to outbrake Webster though to hold the outside line. Webster gives him the space, but he's got the job done at 10B there, David. So good pass around the inside then outside with the 35 machine, but he's, triple Mustang traffic. That's not going to help him, but he's saved by the fact that now Audi's having to fend Joshua Fitt off for that 4th place there behind him.
Yeah, it's all happening. Meanwhile, the amount of laps remaining is ticking down very quickly. About 4 to go, and that is more rallying for these Audis.
Yeah, they might have had a rally going, brother, but yeah, Tim Audi there in that 53 machine. Maybe not so much escorted wide, I don't think, but just the pressure of setting up the car right. Meanwhile, he's the lead of the race. We'll talk about that later, because Jeff Connell's gap that he had from some favourable traffic has been absolutely destroyed by some unfavourable traffic. Here comes Levin. Oh, thinking about the inside at turn number 6. That was dicey there for a moment, but tucks back into line to focus on the exit and down the back straight. There's a good slipstream here that he'll be able to pick up. So all about the run down the straight, and long as you get the shifts right as well. Connell all good into the top gear here, 5th that is. And look at the slipstream here as here comes Levin. Can he get, lifts out and has to go to the right side of the circuit. Connell able to get it across to the middle for the defense. Into 10A, 10B. Can he get it pulled up to get the exit right? Exit looks pretty decent from the number 1 machine. So just over 4 minutes on the clock for these two guys. That's about 3 laps left of racing. So 11 laps on the cards at this stage, it would seem. They should be good to get that done with no stops here tonight in this first race, David, but they might need to be saving a fraction here for this first race.
Get more chaos all around, but for Jeff Connell, he's under pressure for the lead of his class. Dennis Gaderick still under pressure for the lead of his too.
Indeed, looking back at Gaderick, he's got about 9/10 of a second lead. See here, Sam Lehman in the 15 machine. He's going a little slow, it looks like, maybe.
Yeah, he's been in the wall.
Oh dear, so trouble for the 15 machine. And yeah, 140.8 last lap around. Possibly entangled with Graham Smith.
I think so.
We'll have to wait and see, but yeah, both drivers went off track last lap there, so possibility we can get a chance to have a look at it on replay. That might be able to help us understand the picture a little bit better. So Speaking of, let's go have a look at it there on the virtual replay. And, oh dear, so Lehman's actually been tagged out by Smith as they're trying to navigate the traffic and everything in between there at 10A, 10B. Nothing too callous there from Smith. Meanwhile, Lehman on the recovery now has the 784 of Ross Rizzo looking to, actually no, staying with the replay, pardon me. So that's exactly what happened. So passed by Rizzo through 10A, 10B, and Smith just a fraction late on the brakes, hoops the rear end as a bit of pain there for good measure. Back to live pitches in the race lead. We should have 2 laps to go here, but they might squeeze out a third, given they're at 2 minutes 25 and making their way down the hill. It all depends on the traffic flow in these next 2 laps here, David.
Traffic giveth, traffic taketh away. The one thing that the Audis have got going for them, though, is that immense amount of turbocharged horsepower and drive off the corners. They're near 40 kilometers an hour faster than the Mustangs into the brakes at 10A and 10B. So that helps them get around the traffic if they're lucky enough to catch it down the straights. It's these S's where it is proving so tricky.
Oh, it's at best a 1.5 line part of the circuit here at Road Atlanta. So you realistically just need to settle in and set yourself up for the slingshot and corner exit. Use that turbo torque and horsepower as we come back to the front of the field. Connell has to defend. Can he fire it up the inside of that lap traffic? No, he doesn't. Oh, Levin's into the rear bumper and then some. Off the corner exit they go. They've got to get around. It's one of the Mustangs there, Dennis Gaderick. No, it's not Dennis Gaderick, pardon me. It's actually one of our back markers who's currently being lapped for a second time.
What's going on for Levin?
There it is. He's not been able to fuel save it. He's got to bring it down the lane here right towards the end of the race. Jeff Connell's going again.
But he's not alone.
But we haven't had the white flag as well. It's going to be a 12-lap affair for the Audi 90s at least. And a couple of these guys here are not gambling or can't confidently gamble on being able to make it 12 laps here. So
wind the clock back a couple of weeks. Who do you trust to save and make it? Jeff Connell is staying out front while 3 others from class pit in.
Yeah, well, they lose a bit of spots. Definitely lose some time. But yeah, it's a short stop for the Audis here. They don't, as it turns out, their refuel rates are pretty quick. At 5.3 seconds stationary, that's about what we can expect. So, has Connell got what it takes here to save the fuel? He's got a 10-second gap back to Tim Audi, and he's got to make it 1 more lap after this. He's got, well, less than a lap and a half to go here. What's he like down into the 10A, 10B chicane? Clutch roll! Monumental clutch roll. Look at the rev gauge there on the left of screen. There is nothing in it until he gets the downshifts in and get in play to get the engine revs back up to slow it down. So
look at the time left on the clock. It is going to be 1 more.
Aggressively saving. Yeah. Oh, Connell is clutch rolling it down the hill into turn 12. He's looking for every bit of advantage he can get here. So it's a master.
It's final lap, and Connell's still got 20 seconds to the next car that took a pit stop in his fuel to get to the end, so he can roll this thing around. That's what he's doing. But he might just get away with it so long as he's saved enough for up the hill out of 10B.
Well, you can see here, down the hill, he's clutch rolling it again. So he knows exactly what he needs to do is just clutch rolling it like crazy wherever there's downhill, and then back in the power gradually to get over the crests. And then, watch this, he'll be right on board with the race leader. He drops the clutch all the way from halfway from turn 5 down to turn 6. So again, very much not afraid to just drop the fuel as much as he can. And then out of turn 7 for the final time here. So he puts the foot in it to pick up the speed here. Climbing past 230 there into 5th gear. Looking to hit a top speed of around 245. And then look at this, rolling before the crest at turn 9, David. He's going to hang on. Levin is still 17 seconds back, so he's making it work at that little blips on
It's another fuel economy masterclass from Connell, though.
Rolling it all the way through 10A and 10B. He gets back on the power at the corner exit to climb the crest at 11 and down the hill to 12. He has to save it down the hill for turn 12 as well. But there's the checkered flag from Barney at the top of screen, and Jeff Connell gets it done once again. He has to save a monumental amount of fuel. He's joined by Ross Rizzo across the line for P2. Speaking of our Mustang leaders, Dennis Gaderick is currently leading that class once again. But he's got Adam Funslow at 7/10 behind, and Lachlan Capel's half a second behind Funslow. And then Jack Wittes is half a second behind Capel. So 4 cars in it still if something goes wrong for the race. Class leader, pardon me. Down the hill they come. Funzo looks to have it covered for now, but on the brakes, Capel is deep. He's trying to get that car rotated still. He's got a good rotation through 10A, but it's not going to be enough. Adam Funslow is going to hold on to the Pro Class win in the Mustang category. Meanwhile, he's side by side through the chicane. That's Liam Caplice and Nick Wood. They're fighting over the AM Class win for the Mustang drivers. Caplice nose ahead around the outside of Nick Wood. Can he make it stick? Wood's in the grass on the inside. Caplice holds on by 1/100th of a second, if not that.
Oh, because they're a lap down to their overall leader. I can't find a gap on that one, but that was millimeter stuff in that battle.
Barely
Oh,
100th in
of a
it at the line. Yep, indeed. Well, how about that for some fireworks to end race number 1? We were wondering if the fuel was going to be, well, the fuel was expected to be a little bit tight there for the Audis. And
Look who's
indeed,
come
some
through
drivers...
second with no pit stop.
Surprise, surprise. Ross Rizzo, one of our other drivers who has got the history of good fuel saving, makes hay while the sun shines there at the end of the race. So our results from race number 1 of 2 here for the Pro-Am at Road Atlanta. Jeff Connell walks away your race winner overall and in class for the Pro Division and the Audi 90 GTO. 6.5 seconds clear of Ross Rizzo at the front of the field. Also saving that thing home to the line. Brandon Levin, after harrowing the rear end of Connell there in that second phase of the race, ends up 14 seconds behind, splashing the car at the end of lap 10 to make sure he got home safe. Dale Carpenter wins the AM class within the Audi 90s there. 4th outright for him is something he'd like to see. He's able to finish ahead of Joshua Fitt, Daniel Webster, Timothy Audi, and Daniel Cheney before we get to the next of our AM class drivers in the Audi. And it's Sam Lehman there in the 15. 9th outright, 2nd in class. He'll be happy with that one there indeed. And it's Graham Smith, a fair ways back, but rounding out the top 10 there for the Audis. And then Derek Audi, 11th, and the next for the amateurs. And Angus Chappell, our 12th and final Audi to finish within a lap of the leaders there at least, because we might have a couple of guys.
Racanello was one retirement from that class, that was all.
Indeed, there we go. So we'll see Racanello's name later on. But to the Mustangs we go, and Dennis Gaderick holds on to the race win in class, both Mustang and AusPASS Pro there. And yeah, Adam Funslow, 2nd place for him, ahead of Lachlan Capel and Jack Wittes. And then Liam Caplice hanging on by the skin of his teeth around the outside of turn 12 ahead of Nick Wood for first in the AM class amongst the Mustangs. Richard Brookfield rounds out the podium of the AM class drivers there, David. And Sebastian Vandel, 5th in class for Pro and Mustangs, and 20th outright here on track.
Then you had Wayne Losh, Moz Moros, Christopher Henn, Damian Seeger, Daniel Hill, Jordan Peter, Matthew Johnson, Calix Poon, Hayden Jackson, and Matthew Cartalone, both with some damage and some laps down there. And that was everyone, because then you've just got the retired Audi of Aaron Racanello. One thing to note, of course, no invert from race 1 to race 2, because that's not fair in multi-class. It doesn't compute right for when you got 2 classes. So for Jeff Connell and Dennis Gaderick, their wins in race number 1 are going to be very richly rewarded with pole for race number 2.
Indeed it will. Well, another short break here for the AusPASS drivers to take a break. We will take a quick break here as well. Be back with you in just a second. 25 minutes coming up for the second race, but we'll have that there after just a short moment here.
Are you spending a lot of time looking for setups and struggling for faster lap times? Are you tired of searching online for answers? Would you like to get setups, analysis and tutorials from some of the best sim racers in the world like Ralph Alla, Mitchell de Jong, Martin Krunker, Josh Rogers and many more? If so, virtualracingschool.com is the answer you've been looking for. VRS data packs provide hot laps from our professional coaches for you to analyse and replicate. They provide tutorials that walk you through the fastest laps and what the pros did to achieve the best times. And they provide the setups you need to ensure your car is competitive in both oval and road racing. If you're ready to get faster and reach more podiums sooner than later, just go to virtualracingschool.com and sign up for a free account today.
Welcome back to SimSpeed TV, here with the final race for round number 6, season number 6 of the SimRigs.com Oz Pro-Am Sim Series from Road Atlanta. My name is Daniel Yeaman, David Haynes alongside me in the commentary box, and Scott Fontaine on production for tonight. Well, David, that was a wild first race seeing these two car classes out on track, but checkered flag has just flown on the warm-up session, so it's time to do it all over once again with a 25-minute race on the cards for this second of 2 tonight, which means we'll see a pit stop out of both classes here. And now the grid formation is back once again for these guys. So grid as per the results from that first race we just saw earlier on. Jeff Connell with the fuel-saving mastery to take the pole position here with Ross Rizzo alongside him out of second. Brandon Levin in third, Dale Carpenter in fourth. Joshua Fitt in fifth with Daniel Webster in sixth. And that's going to be Timothy Audi, Daniel Cheney out of row number 4, Sam Lehman and Graham Smith out of row 5, Derek Audi and Angus Chappell rounding out our top 6 rows, and what should be the majority of the Audi field. The question is whether Raccanello will be here to take the race. I don't think so, as he did indeed disconnect from the server earlier on, and no sign, David, of Raccanello returning. So 12 Audis at the front of the field, and then 13 on the back is all Mustangs for us tonight.
Just to really quickly touch on something from that race number 1, we saw Connell really backing it off. He went from doing 1 minute 20s to 1 minute 23 and a 1 minute 27 in the final 2 laps. The final 2 laps for Ross Rizzo, who starts in second, were all 121s, so he mastered it even more.
Indeed, Revs rise at the front of the field, waiting on the green flag from Barney here. 25 minutes on the clock, and we are underway for race number 2 there. And look at the mixed bag of starts at the front of the field. Oh, no, trouble, though, for the Mustangs. Is it right at the rear? Is that one of the out? No, it's all Mustang power, but Wayne Losh is around, and Jordan Peter entangled with him there before they even get to the start-finish line as the Audis make their way up the hill. So far, so good at the front of the pack. A little bit of shuffling depending on the driver's starts, and most importantly, Ross Rizzo's lost a spot to Brandon Levin. Daniel Webster and Timothy Audi have switched places, and Daniel Cheney lost 2 spots to slow in behind Sam Lehman and Graham Smith there at the start of the race. Mustangs make their way down the S's. They've been more crazy as far as we can tell so far tonight here in Pro-Am, so wait to see how their first lap here pans out by the end of it.
Yet somehow, Matthew Cardellone has come from 18th in class to 9th right now, and they've only made halfway around the first lap. Not much movement in the Audi 90 GTO field, except you did see Ross Rizzo from second bog it down a little bit. Brandon Levin got a good launch from third and has moved himself up into second, so a position gained up front there. And the Mustangs, I mean, all over the shop, and Cardellone the biggest winner. Remember, he started pretty deep in that grid, though.
He did indeed, side by side. Meanwhile, Joshua Fitt fending off of Timothy Audi there, down to 10A, 10B, and is that a miss shift maybe from Fitt? He just got absolutely swamped down the hill by Timothy Audi, but they forced Audi to back off there, and Daniel Webster now senses a chance to get a move on again here. Get his spot back off Audi to turn 1. Oh, close. Not quite, though, and now he's got Lehman on the outside pressuring as they make their way up the hill here. So side by side to turn 3 we go. Oh, Lehman tries to fend it, but no dice. He's run a little wide into the grass, loses a spot to Graham Smith there. So down the hill they go. And it's getting dark out here, David.
No headlights on these Audi 90 GTOs,
those Audis
baby.
have no headlights, so I hope it's... Oh, no, meanwhile, turn 3, there's a Mustang in the grass. Oh, my goodness, who was
Christopher
that?
Hen swoops through. That's Cardellone who gets a big hit.
Oh, dear, man. Oh, that's Liam Caplice. Yeah, Caplice.
Oh, Caplice.
That was the man I saw out in the grass. We're going to need to get a chance to have a look at that one on replay, I think. For starting with the number 20 car at the beginning of lap 2 there, I would dare say. But Staying with live pitches for a second because Ross Rizzo's applying the blowtorch to the rear end of Brandon Levin's car. He's redirected the direction of that exhaust, I would suspect, because he's putting all the pressure on there down the straight, but a little bit more conservative through 10A, 10B. Actually allows our AM class leader, Dale Carpenter, to pressure him there on corner exit. But time to have a look at that replay thanks to Virtual Racing School here. And this is what happened to Liam Caplice at the start of lap 2 as they came through turn 1, David.
That's just way wide outside of turn 1. Happens all the time. But what is the rejoin? Big field of Mustangs sideways. Okay, that makes it 3 wide on the exit here. And you see Cardellone is the cookie wookie car, right?
Yes, that was Cardellone turning around there in the cookie car. Well, I mean, unfortunately for Cardellone there, the initial rejoin was a little bit dicey from Caplice, but that is just sort of the challenge of the grass there more than anything else. He
Blind
gets
on
it
the
back
exit
on
over
track
the crest there as well, too, isn't it?
a little bit. If he wasn't aware of it, yeah, possibly. But because yeah, once Caplice was back on the asphalt, he stayed to the left side of track and got that car back under control. And unfortunately, yeah, Cardellone taking the preferred line through turn 3 just runs himself out into the position where Caplice already was, and 2 can't go into 1. We haven't figured out how to materially bend space-time and physical matter. Never mind that, though, because that's a question of esoterical physics that doesn't need a conversation here on broadcast.
So I think Josh Fitt might have missed a gear shift or something because he got swallowed up down the back straight.
Yeah, that seems to be a bit of a recurring theme. I could have sworn he had a misshift out of 10B last lap around, but look at him now applying the pressure again to Daniel Webster after being passed by the 35 machine. He's got good run through that opening part of the lap, but yeah, maybe just not quite got the gear shift dialed in here. It is a tricky car to master. You need to have the clutch point figured out pretty promptly, and it needs quite a bit of clutch to get it to activate. As you see here, side by side amongst the Mustangs, it's Brookfield and Damien Seeger. Richard Brookfield in the 33 gets actually able to defend his spot there on that one there, pardon me. Is behind is the next pack of cars led by Calix Poon, but Cardellone and Sebastian Vandel squabbling, and they're bringing Jordan Peter into it. Back and forth between Cardellone and Vandel. They've both passed Jordan Peter, as it turns out. Peter's had an absolute shocker.
He got
of a run
swallowed
down
up
the back
straight. Yeah.
Yeah, he's gone from 23rd outright to 26th. Unfortunately, I don't actually have the iRacing class positions because I've actually got my timing loaded with the Pro and Am class positions, but they're all in Pro, so there's that much going for them all, I suppose. As here comes the first of our traffic now for the race leader. So this is some of the challenging part of the work now. So coming through, they've picked up Losh, Jackson, Hill, and Caplice, and now the rest of the top 10 in the Audis make their way through as well.
The Mustangs are still super bunched up. From Lachlan Capel, 2nd in class, to Jordan Peter, 14th in class. You've only got about 10 seconds, so they are going to very quickly, in about 1 lap, try to have to get around 12 or 13 Mustangs. The Mustangs have got their headlights on. They're based on the road car. They've got the bulbs installed. For the Audis, it's going to start looking pretty dark in 20 minutes.
Yeah, what are we looking at?
Just updraft a Mustang along and make them your headlights. Problem solves.
Yeah, partially a problem solved, but then you're compromising a lot of straight line speed. So, just to bring you all up to speed, it's approaching... Oh,
Cardellone.
No, is that Cardellone's car? It's Cardellone's car. Jordan Peter has also crashed, apparently, at exactly the same time. So, I think it's time to have a look at another Virtual Racing School replay, because they were in a battle pack, and 2 of those cars have returned back to the... Okay, have a look at this. Turn 7, Cardellone wide, and oh, no. All by himself and straight back into the path of Jordan Peter, and on board there. Yeah, there's no wonder why the Cookie Wookie 81 has found the fence down. He tried to get it going again, but yeah, that engine had just about no power left in it. So that's another rough race for the 81 machine, but never mind that, because back to live pitch as we go. And
Rizzo's back to 5th. He was right with Levin here. And now he's back behind Carpenter and Auty.
He is indeed. Yeah, he's been absolutely eaten up alive. So, I'm having a quick look. Ooh, slow out of 10B from Rizzo on that last lap.
There goes another one. Webster gets past him on the exit of 5.
Misshift from Rizzo through 10A and 10B on the downshift. He wasn't able to get second gear or maybe first gear engaged, and then struggling with the upshift out of turn 10B. So all kinds of gearbox drama there for the 784. Falls back in behind Daniel Webster, so from third place outright to sixth outright. Again, yeah, the challenges of the gearbox here in the Audi in particular really showing themselves despite the experienced hands that we've got racing, at least experience at iRacing in general, but clearly showing a little bit of inexperience or perhaps a bit of pressure in these cars in particular here, David. As Rizzo's into the pit lane on lap number 6.
Does he think he can get it to the end from here? Oh.
Well, yeah.
They did 15 minutes and 1 lap in race number 1. There's 16 minutes 30 to go. It's possible. Or he's had a problem. I don't know why you do this and force yourself to go through all the Mustang traffic again, though.
Yeah, it seems a bit counterproductive at this stage. Well, yeah, try and get the pit stop done when you know you can get out ahead of the Mustangs. And 9.6 seconds, that seems like that's about the time it takes to fill the tank back up. So, yeah, I'm not sure the timing's right because, yeah, we've still got ourselves, in fact, we've still got, 16 and a half minutes to go, as you said, David. So he's going to have to really monitor that fuel level closely here to the end of the race.
The Mustangs aren't going to see these things coming as Jeff Connell and Brandon Levin are going to go a little bit side by side down the way here. Give it 10 minutes and these things are going to be stealth fighters.
Yeah, 2 black Audi 90s,
Right
no
on cue.
headlights on the car. And, yeah, that could indeed be a handful
Brandon
indeed.
Levin cops a how you doing in his driver's door.
So, yep, indeed. Now, the struggles are very much apparent. So, one of the things I wanted to actually have a look at before we sort of got distracted by what was happening there with Rizzo is, it is currently 7:50 p.m. in the sim here, David. With the weather settings as such, sunset is officially at 7:56. That means we're going to see about the final 8 to 9 minutes be after sunset here. And, well, that could get a little bit, definitely going to be hairy for these cars in the Audi with the lack of headlights.
There's been a tiny bit of track lighting added, particularly through the S's there. You can see it. They're sort of your standard Roadworks portable lighting. But they are not a permanent lighting system around this track, and they are not everywhere.
Keep our eyes on another car down the lane. Graham Smith next to the drivers to opt on the early pit stop here. 10.7 seconds to take on the fuel to get himself home. But even still, it's a little bit touch and go there because
I got 11 laps to go predicted, and they did 12 laps in race 1.
Okay, so yeah. A light bit of saving should get you 11 laps to a tank then. That seems to be fairly self-explanatory. The race leaders are actually still lapping in the 1 minute... Well, Jeff Connell goes back into the 1 minute 19s. Just as I was about to say, he's a little bit off pace here at the moment doing 21s, but no, that's just traffic for you. The ebb and the flow and how you're going. But, yeah. Oh, meanwhile, live pictures. What was that? Was contact there.
Audi's losing.
Audi. Oh.
Audi was sideways going into turn 1 regardless. Carpenter was looking down the inside. So Carpenter, Webster, Fit have all snuck their way through. Was he already in trouble or did he get just pushed over that edge?
Pretty sure it's just a little bit of contact on the inside here. Look at that. Oh, Carpenter is all kinds of wobbly on the inside there, trying to arrest the momentum for turn 1. Audi tries to hold him tight, but it's the worst possible place to be for a car with a car that's loose and a little bit out of control. Back live, because speaking of the battle pack that we were just watching, Carpenter, I think, yeah, that front left corner is damaged. He must be, I think he's down on straight line speed already, David. These Audis, likewise to the Mustangs we saw earlier, quite susceptible to front end damage. We'll see what the slipstream is like for him, but we've seen guys absolutely motor up on the car ahead with the tow. He is closing in again, so the slipstream is beneficial. But he did lose a spot down to turn 6, which either takes a really bad run out at the bottom of the S's, or being a little bit down on straight line speed. He's
going to pit.
He's going to pit early here, so opts for the early stop, but very compromised on pit entry there to make sure he stays away. And these cars, they definitely have no pit limiters, so they've got to be very careful, these guys, with their speed along the lane here.
Even a thing when this car was developed?
I don't think so. And it's a 72 kilometer limit Carpenter is doing 68. That's how cautious he's being here. It's only just clipped 70 k's an hour, about halfway down the lane, if that. So this is going to be the gamble here with the drivers in the Audi 90s. Do you go aggressive on the speed limit in the lane, or do you try and just make sure you get it done? So clock's ticking. Over 10 seconds. He's actually topping this car off aggressively. 12 seconds. So he's gone completely filled the tank here. Give himself no worries about the fuel versus someone like Ross Rizzo, who's come
One of the
out
Mustangs
ahead.
is pitted too.
Indeed, Mustangs are now coming into the lane. So the exceptions are the top 4 in class. They are yet to come down the lane. So that will reshuffle the order a bit there. And oh dear, who's got themselves a bit of damage? Is that Matthew Johnson? Possibly in the lane, one of the cars.
I think Jordan Peters might be still parked on the lane there.
Yeah, that would do it. 7 minutes, 20 seconds and counting. Johnson actually there rolling away out of the pits, although we just lose him there for a moment as he comes back up towards racing speed. And
Connell and Levin pitting together. I like this.
all right,
Race
well,
still
there's
well and truly on, and everyone else joins them too because it's about time.
And again, drivers, Connell doing 66, 65 Ks down the lane. Levin, though, he's much more aggressive. He's hitting 72 right up to his pit box. So that's going to be important. Can he have made up a bit of time there on the pit lane? Thanks to
And look at him, he's
Cameron
revving it. He's ready to go.
He's trying to hold the bite point and try and dump the clutch right. Still bogs. But out of the lane they come. 12.8 seconds for both. Half a tenth in it stationary between the two of them, as it would turn out. So the fight continues. 10 minutes on the clock. Or just under 11 to be more precise here at Road Atlanta. So the game is on for these two guys. And, well, all hands on deck. Sam Lehman, Derek Audi is still going. They're going to go 11 laps here to end this first stint. And then they're going to do the short run to the end. So now we have the game of whether the short run or the long run is going to pay off. Ross Rizzo is now possibly looking at third on corrected order, but he's 5.5 seconds back from the race leading pair.
And maybe still needing to save to get home from where he pitted so early as well.
Yeah, Joshua Fitz closing in, I think, a little bit. So this is going to be, yes, quite the game for Ross. He's doing 121s last time around, 22s, 120s. Yeah, he's definitely not at the same speed. So that may just be traffic, but then in that case, taking full advantage. Meanwhile, oh, hello. Mustang giving the widest berth possible, including 2 wheels in the grass there for the Audis as they make their way down the straight there, David. So how's this Rizzo? Oh, Rizzo's slow!
Has he missed the shift again?
I'm going to check, because I reckon he might have. Yep, he missed the shift. The clutch rolled. It dropped again in the middle of the corner. So Rizzo struggling with those gear shifts. On board, look at that. Revs down to idle. And then a little bit of love tap as a result. That is just the difficulty of handling these cars. So
corner in like 4th or 5th gear there, so it just hasn't downshifted on the way in, and then he's not been able to get the downshifts to get down to the gear that you need to build the boost in the power and get off the corner.
yeah, it's a double-edged sword. You can very much make mistakes on the downshift as much as the upshift. Yep, indeed, that is true. And when
Is
it
he
bogs,
clutching it all the way to the turn-in point, and therefore not being able to downshift it? Because when we were riding on board with Connell, he'd clutch all the way into the braking zone, but then release the clutch and engage it in the braking zone to be able to blip it and get the downshifts. Have the engine revs on to be able to downshift it.
I don't think so, no, because okay, here's Rizzo. Look at the fuel save from Rizzo, and then he's back up. So that's what Rizzo's trying to do here. So no, I think, David, what's happening with Rizzo is it's just the difficulty of getting the car shifted right, because the bite point when you're driving this car to get enough clutch to successfully shift it is very high. It's somewhere up around 90%, I would say, based on experience with the car itself. So, and the same thing therefore applies on downshifts. You have to get the clutch pedal a long way in, at least in game. The signal has to send a very high amount of actuation so that it'll actually get you shifting. And so I just think Rizzo's trying to save fuel here, and maybe just coming out of the clutch too much, so it starts riding out, and that's when he pulls the gear, or at least tries to pull for the gear. But because he's rolled out of the clutch too much, as he's about to get the engine braking back on, the car goes, no can do, you're going into neutral, and you're going to have to re-engage the clutch fully to get the car to actually downshift here. As we see Rizzo, the fuel save is, I think it's definitely hurting him now. He's back to 5th in outright, and Dale Carpenter, who pitted on lap number 9, is all over the back of him here and keeping the foot down now in a straight line. Look at this. Closing speed from Carpenter. He is pushing, and Rizzo's on the clutch again at the top of the hill at turn 9. So maximum fuel save from Rizzo. You can see actually that's 3 clean downshifts there. So maybe getting the hang of it now in terms of what's needed from the clutch on the downshifts, and that upshift is looking pretty good there immediately out of turns 10 and 11.
I think if you try to go from like 5th to 2nd and you've not blipped it, there's just no way it's gonna go.
Yeah, it'd be very hard to do that. I mean, I personally don't have a H pattern box with me, so I had to learn to, well, I opted to learn to heel and toe the car on flappy paddles, which I can tell you was a bit of a mind-bending experience at first. If you haven't experienced, meanwhile, oh, yikes! That's Dale Carpenter in the background is shot, and there's just Mustang traffic every which way he tries to go there through the S's. So never mind the antics about the shifting actuations on this car, because, oh boy, that got messy there for half a moment, and thankfully Carpenter able to avoid any troubles. But Matthew Johnson, I think it is, in the number 11 Mustang there that they're passing by. No, Sebastian, no, hang on, worry. Yes. Pardon me, that was Matthew Johnson in the number 11 Mustang. And he's blinking a lot in and out of shot. So talk about things you don't want to see when you're trying to pass lap traffic in a different class of cars. Side by side between Caprice and Mosmeros there. They're fighting over 21st outright. And that equates to 8th in their division in Mustang. Oh, yikes. Carpenter and Rizzo up the inside over the hill. They take to the grass on the inside of the corner to make sure they get through. And, yeah, this is the kind of stuff we're talking about. These guys are racing their own race. And, yeah, with no headlights for the Audis as they approach, if these guys are busy fighting their own battles in class, they're going to run over each other if they're not careful. When the Audis rock up, all of a sudden on their rear bumpers.
You've got a whole handful of battles in that Mustang field, like 3 cars for second between Capel and Funslow, and Nick Wood hanging on there as well is going to get a good result if he can stay there for the AM class, and then Richard Brookfield and Jack Widdis as well. So there's a whole bunch of groups of 2 and 3 Mustangs. They're everywhere, and that makes it tough for the Audis, but then it's tough for the Mustangs if you can't see an Audi coming from 3 cars back that can bear down on you in 1 second.
Indeed. Meanwhile, here, speaking of this battle pack of Mustangs,
Gatterick's
Dennis
lost the class lead.
Yeah, he was actually running. Yeah, he was running in the class lead, 13th outright, and now he's back in 4th. So lead changes hands there in the Mustang class to Liam Capel, who now is out front there in the number 18 machine. And just look at this here as with Joshua Fitt there in particular coming through. Dale Carpenter's going to look through here, I reckon, on the inside in the moment's time. So down into the final corner, and oh, it's the worst possible spot for Fitt, I think. Has to roll it out heavily through the turn, and Carpenter goes, thank you very much, I'll close on up to you. As a result, as they try and clear the traffic still though. Busy here, less than 4 minutes on the clock for this final race. Jeff Connell still leads the race. In fact, he's actually opened a gap of 4.5 seconds to Brandon Levin. So where has that come from?
I think Connor's well and truly put the hammer down, and they have made their way through all this Mustang traffic in the last 2 laps as well.
Well, that'll do it for you. Yeah, just double checking my timing, and yeah, no incidents for Levin as far as I can see. So yeah, that's just a matter of Connell lapping in the 1 minute 20s. Levin dropped back into the 121s of late. So must have been traffic, you would think. And you see there, nearly 1.3, over 1.3, almost 1.4 seconds, the difference on the last lap alone. So Jeff Connell flexing the speed here at this stage of the race. And it looks like our front Audi drivers just getting a bit of breathing space. Webster is currently running in 3rd place. He's on his own. And then we've got Joshua Fitt and Dale Carpenter, we just saw there previously in shot. And then Ross Rizzo is now being challenged by Timothy Audi here. It's for 6th outright, 5th in class amongst the Audis here as they come across the line to start their 17th lap. 2 to go.
Just car length
There,
and car
that's-
length in the braking zone, isn't it?
Yeah, Rizzo having
Not
to
going to be able
just
to pass him through the S's in these other places, but you just got to wait to turn 10A and you'll cruise past with the way that Rizzo is fuel saving. You just can't defend like that.
Yeah, he's got no defense because he has to make sure he saves every single drop he can. So, looks like the fuel strategy call from Rizzo. Not quite Wood. Oh, meanwhile, trouble from Nick Wood and the Mustangs. Liam Caplice is down onto the pit lane as well. And I'm getting reports from my timing system. Calix Poons come into the pit lane as well. So, a couple of these guys now.
I think those are cars that came into the pit lane for damage earlier in the race and have therefore run short of being able to make it a one-stopper. They're splashing, dashing to get home.
That would explain a bit indeed. So,
What happened to Nick Wood? He was on for a killer results for an AM driver.
yeah, that's why I'm going to have a look at it right now. Oh, Timothy Audi and Ross Rizzo coming through. Oh, I don't like the look of this one here on my own replay. And, oh dear, that's... Well, actually, not too damaging, but we may want to jump back to a quick replay of the 308 or the number 53 of Timothy Audi. Lap 16 for the 53 car. Which is lap 14 for the number 4, the 308. Unfortunately, the challenges of mixed class traffic around this circuit come to bite. Well, we'll have to maybe have a look at it later on, perhaps. But we're back to live pictures here, David. And here with our Brandon Levin, who's still P2. Meanwhile, Dale Carpenter starting to come under pressure from Joshua Fitt for 4th place outright.
And they're heading
Carpenter's
towards the
team
white
sort of-
flag, this one.
They will indeed. Less than, 30 seconds on the clock just about now.
Mustang's
As
out of fuel
Connell-
there. I think that's
Oh,
Hayden
yeah.
Jackson.
So drivers trying to stretch the tank and they're being bitten, it would seem. And yep, Jackson pulls number 8 Mustang over off the track now, thankfully. But white flag taken by Jeff Connell once again here in the number 1 Audi 90. So up the hill he comes. No need to worry about the fuel save on this lap here for the number 1 machine. So he can continue to press on here to the end. And 4.6 seconds back to P2. He's in pretty comfortable air here as we look now at our closest fight on track in the Audis. P4 is up for grabs. Dale Carpenter, he's got the win secured in the amateur class amongst the Audis tonight, but if he can just sneak a 4th place outright, that would be all the more sweeter, I would think. But down the hill he comes. He's lost a bit of time at the top of the hill, so he's going to have to make it all up once again down the straight here if he's got the toe. Bit touch and go at this stage here if he can make it work here, David.
And these drivers will be so thankful for that little bit of extra lighting around the circuit. If this went just a tiny bit longer, it would be almost too dark for these headlightless drivers to get around. Connor will be relishing that checkered flag is just moments away for him.
Down into 10A for the final time for our race leader in the Audi 90 class, through 10B as well. All calm and collected for the number 1 machine after winning at Sonoma with a fuel-saving masterclass podium at Watkins Glen last week. It's 2 from 2 for Jeff Connell in the second of the wildcard rounds. And a job well done from the defending series champ, taking the win there amongst the Audis tonight.
How about
As Brennan
Widdowson,
Levin.
Brookfield and Gaderick in the Mustang field, though? They are absolutely nose to tail on this final lap.
Yeah, we better go have a look at that there. This is for P3 in class. As, oh, look at them there, Gaderick.
And Brookfield and Am driver is in the middle of this, separating Widdus from Gaderick, and Gaderick is going to need to get around both of them to make any points gain. He might be a little frustrated with Brookfield's positioning in there, but good on Brookfield. What a race he's having.
Indeed. While they're in different AusPASS classes, there's no requirement from Brookfield as the amateur amongst the group to pull out. And look at this. He's going to go for it on Jack Widdus. So here we go down to 10A, 10B. Gaderick looking for the inside of Widdus. He looks for 3 wide into 10A, 10B. Here we go under brakes. Brookfield still in the middle of the two. They resolve themselves back into single file. Gaderick looking for the inside of 10B as we come up over the hill. He's got a nose there, so side by side we go. Over the hill to turn 12. Turning in is Brookfield. Gaderick pushing. Who gets the line? It's going to be Brookfield on the outside. Another lead of 1/100th of a second is all it is between these two cars. Make it 8/1000s at the line for a more precise measurement. How about it there? Brookfield holds on to 4th in class. First of the amateurs in the Mustang class tonight as well. How about it there? Lachlan Capel was up ahead of the group and takes the win in the Mustangs, as it turns out. But, racing all the way to the line. Good stuff we like to see here, David.
Yeah, it's been pretty full on all the classes all the way as well. I mean, we've seen a handful of finishes like that now where you want to have your binoculars and your high-speed camera ready in the timing tower. Fantastic and great to see these drivers be able to race that hard, lean on each other a little bit and not have it end in disaster. It did get a bit messy at points, particularly amongst the lap traffic and amongst those Ford Mustangs in this Pro and the Oz Proam race. But an ending like that, for drivers like that, demonstrates that they can race each other and there is some good standard of driving.
Absolutely indeed. Well, time now to have a quick look at the race results from that second one here tonight in the Pro-Am. Jeff Connell makes it 2 from 2 in the wildcard. 5 seconds clear at the end of it all from Brandon Levin there, after the pressure was there early on, but not quite able to sustain it to the end of that one there tonight, unfortunately for him. Daniel Webster brings it home in third place, comfortably clearing the end of Joshua Fitt, and Timothy Audie running out our top 5 All-Pros. Ross Rizzo settles for 6th in class there after the early pit stop. Doesn't quite fall his way. Meanwhile, 7th outright, but the first of the amateurs amongst the Audis. Sam Lehman gets himself a class win here tonight ahead of Angus Chappell. They're in 8th, and Dale Carpenter. Actually, pardon me, that doesn't quite seem right. We were just talking... Yeah, sorry, no, that is. So, hang on, what happened to Dale Carpenter at the end of the race? Oh, dear. He's come across the line in 5th, David, but he's been given a post-race penalty of some description.
So if he was carrying, it would have been about 13 seconds back. Yeah. So if he was cut the final chicane, for example, and was carrying a slowdown penalty to the checkered flag, you get absolutely pummeled for that. It becomes, 2-second slowdown becomes a 40-second post-race penalty.
Yeah, that would explain a bit there. So just when we thought Dale Carpenter had it wrapped up, it looks like there's some kind of mistake at the end of the race there. Unfortunately for him, that demotes him well down the order behind Sam Lehman and Angus Chappell in class, and a 9th outright from 5th across the line. For Dale Carpenter, he won't be too happy with whatever happened there in the end. And then Daniel Cheney rounding out the top 10 in class, the next of our pro drivers, and that was Graham Smith, the 11th and final, 11th Audi across the line there. And Derek Audie, the final Audi, finishing the race, unfortunately finishing a lap down behind
incident limit.
His next closest compared to that. Possibly, yes. Incident limit was 17x tonight, and I can tell you right now, if I quickly sort by driver number and look for Carpenter, 17x. Carpenter hit the incident limit on the final lap of the race, David.
Glad we got to the bottom of that one, but that is that's a tough one. But I think everyone would have known from the start of the race that that's what the incident limit was, and it dictates terms and how they race. And some fly a little closer to the sun than others. It's bitten him at the end.
Indeed. We'll quickly run through these final results. Lachlan Capel wins the pro class in the Mustang here in race 2 tonight, ahead of Adam Funslow and Jack Wittes. And then Richard Brookfield holds on to 4th in the car class and the first of the AM drivers there tonight. Dennis Gaderick in 17th outright, 5th in the Mustang. 6th goes to Damien Seeger, 7th and 19th outright to Nick Wood, and Mosman Ross runs out our top 20 outright, and with an 8th in class. Christopher Henn, 21st, Sebastian Varndell, 22nd, 9th and 10th in class for those two cars there. Daniel Hill, 23rd outright, and 11th in car class at least. Unfortunately, in AusPASS class is a little bit more complicated, but we'll worry about that another time, I think, unfortunately here. Matthew Johnson, 24th, Liam Caprice, 25th, Calix Poon, 26th, and then Hayden Jackson, 27th. Our last of our running drivers, it would seem, and then our retirements tonight. Jordan Peter, 28th, Matthew Cartolone, 29th, and Wayne Losh out of 30th. And Aaron Raccanello did not take the grid in race number 2 there, David. Well, got to move on real quick here because we've got a couple of drivers waiting to chat with us. So time to speak with our overall round winner once again, making it 2 from 2 races tonight. Jeff Connell, the number 1 Audi 90 GTO, doing it once again. Congratulations, Jeff. That was some excellent fuel saving to make it work in race 1 there, and then excellent pace at the end to break away from Levin in race 2.
Yeah, it was awesome. It was sort of best of both worlds tonight. Got the win with a fuel save in the first one, and then yeah, everyone just went flat out one stop in the second one. It was all on raw pace, so yeah, it was good fun. But the fuel save in the first one was pretty hard because I wasn't sure how many laps it would be. So I was sort of stuck in no man's land for a while on whether to go flat out or whether to save. So that's why I had to save so much at the end, because I sort of played it 50-50 the whole race.
Indeed, yeah. We saw the drivers come in, at least those who opted to take the pit stop early. Lap 10 was their stop in that one there. So clearly they're the guys perhaps pushing all the way from start to finish in the first race, having to pull it up early there. But yeah, we were watching on board with you, and maximum use of the clutch and any downhill stretch you could take advantage of, it would seem. And put it to good use, though, in that first race. And then, as you said, in race 2, able to go flat out from start to finish, and you had the number on Levin when it came to sheer pace, it looked like there in that second one.
Yeah, that second one was, even though I led the whole way, like if you looked at a lap chart, it looked like it was a boring race, but that was so much fun. Coming through the guys in the other group, it was awesome because you could get, second and a half in front, and then within one corner, the next guy was back on you. So yeah, that was awesome fun, and got sideswiped pretty hard by one of the Mustangs when I was up next to him. So I was a bit worried. I was pretty worried about the damage at the end, but I don't think it was too bad because the time at the end matched what I did in the middle of the race. So yeah, got lucky with the damage.
Indeed, yeah. Well, what was it like driving around Road Atlanta? As we've seen this race, or this track is very much home to the Petit Le Mans, so GT3 and LMP2 now, very much a familiar car combination. But in a car like the Audi 90, and especially in that second race, what was it like as the sun dipped down there? And were you losing a lot of visibility thanks to the fact your car had no headlights, or were you able to make use of traffic headlights from all the Mustangs and also the limited amount of track lighting that's available here now at Road Atlanta?
I didn't find it too bad. I don't know if my screen settings are pretty high or something, but I didn't really have it. The only issue was there's a couple of braking markers where there was lines in the track. I couldn't really see them. So just had to adjust the brake marker a bit. But other than that, didn't really have any problems with vision. It's a tough track because the race line is always so close to the exit where there's not much ripple strip and just a lot of grass. So it was a bit tough in that way. But the hardest thing in the Audis is just the gearbox. Missed a stupid amount of gears tonight. Just not timing it properly with the clutch. So, yeah, found it pretty hard just with the timing, using the clutch and the paddle shifters. Like, it just felt a bit unnatural. So, yeah, I stuffed up so many gear changes tonight, but, yeah, got away with it.
Unnatural is definitely a good way to put it. I can sympathise with the paddles and clutch for sure. Well, Jeff, before we let you go tonight, is there anyone that you want to thank tonight for getting the job done for you there?
No, mate, same as always, just a privateer effort of myself. But yeah, once again, thank to Sam and everyone that runs this series and all the sponsors. They're putting on an awesome show every week, and 60, 70 cars between the two groups. So that's awesome. And yeah, the racing is awesome as well. So yeah, thanks to those guys for running it. Thanks to SimSpeed for the broadcast. It's quality's awesome, and commentary and everything. So yeah, it's good fun.
Well, thank you very much there, Jeff. 3 rounds to go and back in the GT3 action to the end of the series. Good luck, and hopefully chat to you in the next couple of weeks here as we wrap this one up.
Cheers, thanks, guys.
Dan, I'm always uneasy when people thank us for our commentary before they've heard what we said about them that round.
Oh, well, it's a minor compliment, I suppose, but I'd like to think we keep things relatively neutral up here in the comms box. But David, got a couple other drivers waiting to chat with us. I'll hand over to you here to talk to our Race 2 winner in the Mustang class and brought home the pros, Lachlan Capel in the number 18 for Pulse Racing Team there.
Yeah, congratulations on that feature race win. It was all action through the Mustangs across both races. Raced really, really close together, and that led to some spills, but presumably some thrills for you in race number 2.
Yeah, race number 2. I got a really good start in race number 1, so I tried to keep that going for race number 2, and I was in Discord chatting with Funds, Brookfield, Widdus, and Henny, and we were all kind of communicating, especially me and Jack being teammates, trying to grab as many points for this round. And yeah, I found I didn't really have the pace to begin with because Guitarix seemed a lot quicker. But then unfortunately, Audis came by second time running with about 5 minutes to go and pushed him off the track. And then I think they caused a couple of calamities with, I believe, Nick Wood and one of the other cars behind as well, which put Jack up to third for the end of the race. So other than that, the cars were quite, you could drive it on the edge pretty comfortably, but they were really, really fun in packs to drive.
And big closing speeds and no headlights on those Audis. How much warning do you get that they're bearing down on you?
Not really, none. I have to watch my relative like a hawk for basically the entire race, especially down the straight, because it was very hard to tell whether or not they were actually going to dive bomb you entering the final chicane. And usually when you came onto the straight, because they were so quick, you could be 6 seconds ahead of them coming onto the straight, and they'd pass you by the end coming onto the final couple corners. But yeah, I had a couple Audis dive on me, and I lost a little bit of time, and it seemed to be just trying to manage the traffic well and trying to have the Audis catch you on the point where you don't lose time on turn in. But yeah, those Audis are quite mental. I tried it for my first time practice, and I found it was a bit too hard to keep the car on the road all the time. So I went to the Mustang, and I felt much more comfortable with that, especially with the gear shifts, where I'm pretty sure Jeff said this as well, but the gears can be very, very difficult to actually get into gear from every single car in both these cars. So you have a lot of time stressing whether or not you'll miss a gear when you're shifting up, and it can cost you a lot of time and a lot of positions too if you miss a gear on the straight.
Yeah, walk us through what the strategy looked like in both of the races for the Mustang as well.
So the first race was just full out push, no fuel save, because we had an extra lap or so at the end of race 1. Race 2, we had to pit, and judging by the iRacing, we could only choose options of 3.6 and 7.2 or something. So obviously, I had 6 liters I needed to set fuel, so I chose the 7.2 one. And Funds chose a very interesting strategy of going in quite early, and I nearly thought it paid off for him. But just as I jumped out the pits after the first little bit of traffic, I actually jumped him, so I was pretty happy about that. Unfortunately, Jack, I think, missed his pit box and had to get back into the race again after passing a couple of the guys. But the fuel, there wasn't really too much concern on fuel. I heard a couple of the guys on the Discord were also freaking out because early race calamities, and they had to try and pit early, and it was trying to stretch the fuel out, but it was very difficult. I don't think you could really fuel save in these Mustangs because they're like the Mazdas. They require too much momentum in the corners in order to actually drive properly. And without that momentum, you're basically losing half a second a lap, and it wasn't really worth. So it was just full push really, and then just fuel stop and trying to time the fuel stop right.
And putting the sensible hat back on for next week, you're going to be happy to be back in the GT3?
Yeah, I mean, I like Road America. I've had some good experiences in America, but also last time AusPASS came here, I was on my old laptop, and my game crashed twice in the one race, so I was pretty pissed. I was down 5 laps, I think, at the end of the race. Was not a happy night, and I hope to try and redeem my driving, but I'm getting really, really comfortable with the Porsche, especially after doing it probably driving it for a solid month now, doing Nürburgring in it, which will help for the final round of the season. And yeah, Porsche depends on the BOP. I think it'll either be 100 or 99 for the Porsche, which shouldn't be too bad. But I think it might suit the Porsche. The only issue is the carousel with the medium downforce. But other than that, it's a good track. Suzuka is good for the Porsche as well. And yeah, then obviously Nürburgring will be great as well. So looking like a good couple last races left in the end of the season for me and Jack at the end. So we'll see if we can try and pull it off and get P1 in the Teams Championship.
Well, get your laps in, keep your Thursday nights free, and we'll see you all the way to the end of the season.
We'll be doing that. Thank you very much.
Dan.
Indeed, there's P1 from the Mustang class, and one final driver here to chat with us tonight. P3 amongst the Mustangs and the pros in said Mustangs, Jack Wittes in the 898 machine. Well done there in that second race. had to come up a fair way from your grid spot at the very start of the night tonight. 22nd outright is a little bit further back compared to the guys you ended up racing around, but looks like, yeah, got some good race pace under you once you got underway here tonight, Jack.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. When I qualified down in 10th in class, I was a bit worried, but yeah, just try to keep it clean and bring it home.
Yeah, that makes all the difference around a track like this, and especially with the multi-class component tonight. How did you find having to manage the traffic with the Audis in these races tonight, given that they've got so much more power and their speed in the straight line is what really makes a difference for them?
Yeah, it was pretty wild when they came past. I felt like I got pretty unlucky sometimes, but obviously I had a lot more luck than some of the others as well. So yeah, it's a bit of catch-22 there, I think.
Fair enough indeed there. Well, looking forward to the rest of the season for you, Jack. 3 rounds left here in the series and get back in your Ferrari GT3 to finish it off. Guess any highlights, potential lowlights on the calendar as far as you're aware at this stage, or sort of looking to keep spirits up and keep pressing in there at the top of the championship in Pro?
Yeah, I'm just going to do what I can do. Obviously, I've had a couple of really bad rounds. One there when I got tangled up with James, and the other one I ran out of fuel and got some wrong fuel calculation readings. So yeah, I'm just happy to come out and have fun with the boys and go racing.
Good attitude to have in the end of it all. Anyone you want to thank tonight? Sponsors, team partners, friends, and the like, Jackie, before we let you go?
Yeah, just to Lachlan for pushing me around and showing me a few tips in the Mustang, and yeah, back to the family at home for watching.
All right, there. Thank you very much, Jack. Good speaking with you, and good luck with the remaining rounds in the season here.
Thanks.
Well, I think that's going to do us for tonight here, David, after chatting to the drivers from both classes in the end of it all. And yeah, 3 weeks to go here in the Proam Sim Series, or the Proam Sim Series calendar for season number 6. GT3 is back on the cards starting next week, and to take us all the way through to the end of the season, and we've got ourselves a staple of tracks that are going to be quite the interesting mix. Suzuka is up next, and then Laguna Seca for the penultimate round, and then we're off to the Nürburgring VLN layout for the endurance finale. So, going to have to be looking forward to that one there, I would say, David. Well, any final takeaways from you from tonight's racing before we gear up to get ready for next week's action?
Oh, just some really, really interesting racing across all of the races that we saw, all 4 of them, and the 3 divisions, and some very, very close finishes where you had to get that stopwatch out and measure it in thousandths of a second. It sounds like there's a few drivers who'll be happy to have their flappy paddle GT3 gearboxes back next week, though.
Very true indeed. And yeah, clutch and a flappy paddle, definitely a weird combination. So get back into something that's considered a little bit more normal by modern standards, perhaps indeed. Well, before we let you sign off tonight, big thanks to everyone, all of you watching along tonight, whether it be on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitch. Appreciate the support for the series and for us here at SimSpeed TV. Big thanks to all the partners as well that help make the Proam Sim Series possible. To simrigs.com, the series naming partner as always, along with Phoenix Smokers, Computer Technology Corporation, Palmer's Skincare, Echuca Toyota, and Index Designs. Great to have all the brands on board for the series here in season number 6. My name is Daniel Yeaman. David Haynes has been alongside me in the comms box. Scott Fontaine on production. From all of us here at SimSpeed TV, thank you very much for watching. And until next time, it's bye for now.
Are you new to sim racing, or maybe a veteran struggling to reach the next level? Have you ever wondered how the aliens reach impressive lap times that seem impossible to achieve? If so, you're not alone. Most drivers reach a certain level and get stuck. But Getting faster on track is easier than you think. VRS coaches are some of the best sim racers in the world and offer one-on-one driver skills training at affordable rates to help new drivers learn the basics and help experienced drivers break through to the next level. Are you ready to get faster and get off the iRating roller coaster? If so, VRS one-on-one personal training is for you. If you've invested in your equipment, it might be time to invest in yourself. Just go to virtualracingschool.com and sign up for a 30, 60 or 90-minute session with one of our world-class coaches, and you'll learn exactly what to do for faster lap times and more podiums.